Chapter 220. Up ahead, should be the Lightning Sword sect. Outside a galactic teleportation formation, a young man in clothes whiter than snow stood in the air. He looked at the buildings that were situated among the sword peaks in the distance and mumbled to himself. The galaxy teleporter behind the young man had the coordinates, Hunglio Galaxy. Tailao Planet. The Lightning Sword sect. The young man dressed in white was Zhou Donghuang, who had just left the Tianxian planet of the Luoha Galaxy. At this time, third senior sister was still the daughter of the Autumn Valley head of the Lightning Sword sect. Zhou Donghuang had come here because there was someone he knew here. More accurately, someone he knew from his previous life. His third senior sister. In his previous life, there were not many people he cared about, and third senior sister was one of them. Although third senior sister did not die because of him, she had been very kind to him and had saved his life many times. Because of this, Zhou Donghuang had been very hurt by her death in his previous life. He had even hated himself for not being able to save third senior sister, and could only watch her die in front of him. Although he later avenged his third senior sister, she was unable to come back to life. Now that he had been reborn 1,000 years ago, he could change history and not let third senior sister, who had treated him like a mother and sister, die again. In my previous life, the Lightning Sword sect was brutally destroyed, and third senior sister was lucky enough to escape. After leaving the Hunglio Galaxy, she joined the sect that I joined after her, and we were both under the same master. In fact, I was only able to become master's disciple because third senior sister helped me, otherwise, master would not have cared about me at that time. Zhou Donghuang's third senior sister was called He Mengxi, and she was 10 years older than him. In his previous life, when he had met her, she had already been an ultimate primordial soul adept, and her abilities were astonishing. An ultimate primordial soul adept who was not even 200 years old was considered quite talented even among the thousands of races in the universe. One had to know that many people could advance quickly in their early stages, but might not be able to advance further in the future. In his previous life, Zhou Donghuang had met someone who had entered the Dharma stage before the age of 30, and before the age of 50, he had entered the primordial soul stage. However, that person was still stuck at the primordial soul stage until he was 1,000 years old, and he finally died. One had to know that he had already entered the primordial soul stage before he was 300 years old. In the next 600 years, no matter how hard he tried, he was unable to enter the deity transformation stage. As a result, he died at the end of his life. A primordial soul adept's lifespan was usually 1,000 years. Of course, if a nascent divinity adept cultivated a technique like the technique of everlasting youth, his lifespan could be extended to 1,500 years. Who are you, and why have you come to the Lightning Sect? Just as Zhou Donghuang neared the periphery of the cluster of buildings within the many sword peaks, he was stopped by someone. The ones who stopped him were two young men in their 30s. They were surrounded by golden true essence. They were both golden core cultivators. One of them, a skinny young man, carried a sheathed longsword on his back. On the other hand, there was a huge sheathless sword on the back of a sturdy young man. The heavy sword had no edge, and it looked very skillful. These two were the Lightning Sword sect's patrolling disciples. They noticed Zhou Donghuang's sword sect and stepped forward to stop him. I'm looking for He Mengxi from the Autumn Valley of the Lightning Sword sect. Zhou Donghuang said. You're looking for Sister He. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, the eyes of the two patrolling disciples of the Lightning Sword sect narrowed slightly. At the same time, their cold expressions became friendly in an instant. Little brother, who are you? Why are you looking for Sister He? The skinny disciple forced a smile and asked politely. He did not seem arrogant just because Zhou Donghuang was only a silver essence adept. At this moment, Zhou Donghuang was surrounded by silver inner yuan. This was the mark of a silver essence adept. She's my sister. Zhou Donghuang smiled. Sister? Zhou Donghuang's words caused the two patrolling disciples to look shocked. Could it be that the person in front of them was a disciple that the Autumn Valley head had taken in outside? He looked to be in his early 20s at most, but he was already a silver core cultivator. That was possible. "Little brother, I'll take you to the Autumn Valley." The skinny patrolling disciple of the Lightning Sword sect greeted the other person and led Zhou Donghuang into the Lightning Sword sect. Along the way, Zhou Donghuang studied the sword peaks around him that looked like sharp swords rising into the sky. These sword peaks were obviously sculpted, and each sword formation looked like a sword. Even a divine transformation adept would have to spend a lot of effort to sculpt hundreds of sword peaks like this. "Little brother, are you a disciple that the Autumn Valley head of the Lightning Sword sect took in? Why are you only here now?" The skinny disciple asked curiously. "I have some matters to settle." Zhou Donghuang gave a perfunctory reply. He could not possibly say that he did not know the Autumn Valley head and had never even seen him before, could he? In his past life, when he had known third senior sister, her father, who was the Autumn Valley head, had already perished along with the Lightning Sword sect. Now, the most important thing was to see his third sister. As long as he saw her, everything would be easy. "How should I address you, little brother?" "Zhou Donghuang." "So it's little brother Zhou." "Little brother Zhou, I'm Lu Ping, a disciple of the Wood Division of the Lightning Sword sect." On the way to the Autumn Valley of the Lightning Sword sect, Lu Ping was very friendly to Zhou Donghuang, to the point that Zhou Donghuang could not stand it. How friendly was he? Lu Ping's friendliness even made Zhou Donghuang suspicious. Did this Lu Ping know that he had been a celestial in his previous life? Otherwise, why would they be so enthusiastic to the point of fawning over him? What Zhou Donghuang did not know was, in the Lightning Sword sect, the disciples were divided into outer and inner disciples. Only the inner disciples could enter the Four Valleys, including the Autumn Valley, and become disciples of the Four Valleys. The Four Valleys were the Spring Valley, the Summer Valley, the Autumn Valley, and the Winter Valley. In the Lightning Sword sect, there was only one way for an outer disciple to become an inner disciple and enter the Four Valleys. That was to enter the Dharma stage before the age of 30 and become a Dharma adept. Other than that, the other way was to catch the eye of the valley head and be personally accepted as a disciple. Because of this, there were still a few young disciples in the Spring, Summer, Autumn, and Winter Valleys who had not entered the Dharma stage. These young disciples who entered the Four Valleys, even if they had not entered the Dharma stage, were still inner disciples of the Lightning Sword sect. Lu Ping, who was now leading the way for Zhou Donghuang, was only an outer disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. He was in his 30s and had not yet entered the Dharma stage. Inner disciples were all talented people. In the future, they would at least be able to become an elder in the Lightning Sword sect. Outer disciples, on the other hand, would at most be a small steward in the outer sect for their entire lives. In Lu Ping's eyes, since the Autumn Valley head of the Lightning Sword sect had made an exception to accept Zhou Donghuang as a disciple, he was definitely talented and had a bright future ahead of him. Now, he could still say a few words to Zhou Donghuang and get to know him. In the future, he might not even be able to talk to him. There were only benefits to familiarizing oneself with them as early as possible. There were no disadvantages. "Brother Zhou, we've arrived at the Autumn Valley." With Lu Ping leading the way, Zhou Donghuang arrived at a vast valley. Maple leaves fluttered in the air, and it was the scene of autumn. Red maple leaves covered the ground, and many flowers and plants had withered. Some fruit trees had ripened. This is the Autumn Valley? Zhou Donghuang's heart skipped a beat. Outer disciple? Why have you come to the Autumn Valley? A figure suddenly flew out from one side of the Autumn Valley. It was a young man dressed in a long green robe. Although he was flying in the air, there was no inner yuan around him. It was obvious that he was an adept at or above the Dharma stage. Only adepts at or above the Dharma stage could restrain their inner yuan. Outer disciple Lu Ping greets Brother Huang. Lu Ping bowed respectfully to the newcomer and introduced Zhou Dong Huang. Brother Huang, this brother Zhou is a disciple that valley head he took in. He has just arrived at the lightning sword sect today. Without waiting for the green-robed young man to speak, Lu Ping smiled and said to Zhou Dong Huang, Brother Zhou, since I've brought you to the Autumn Valley, I'll take my leave now. After Lu Ping left, the green-robed young man looked Zhou Dong Huang up and down. You're a disciple that the valley head took in outside? Zhou Dong Huang did not answer the green-robed young man directly. Instead, he smiled at him and said, Please bring me to see Sister Himengshi. Come with me. When the green-robed young man heard that Zhou Dong Huang wanted to see the Autumn Valley head's daughter, Himengshi, he did not ask any more questions and led the way. Sister Himengshi, someone is looking for you. The young man brought Zhou Dong Huang to the other side of the valley, halfway up the mountain. There was a spacious courtyard on a wide stone platform. As the young man spoke, a beautiful figure quickly floated out of the courtyard. It was a young lady dressed in a sky-blue dress. The lady looked to be in her 20s, and it was impossible to tell that she was over 30. Her eyebrows were like a painting, and her eyes were like the stars. Her cheeks were delicate and pretty, and her long hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall. She was more than 1.7 meters tall, and her figure was slender. As she stood there, her long legs were especially eye-catching. As the lady walked out, Zhou Dong Huang's eyes locked onto her. His body trembled slightly, and he could no longer maintain his composure. More than 800 years. He had not seen his third sister in more than 800 years. She looked exactly like the third sister in his memory, except that she looked younger, and her aura was not as mature as the third sister in his memory. Who are you? What business do you have with me? Himengshi asked as she looked at the young man in white standing beside the green-robed young man. Sister Himengshi, you don't know him? The green-robed young man's expression changed. Chapter 221. Who are you? Why are you pretending to be a disciple of the Autumn Valley? The green-robed young man glared at Zhou Dong Huang. He had never imagined that someone would pretend to be a disciple of the Autumn Valley. Was he not afraid of death? Just now, because he did not think that anyone would dare to pretend to be a disciple of the Autumn Valley, he had brought the white-robed young man to Himengshi. He did not think that Himengshi might not know that the Autumn Valley head had accepted such a disciple, because that was almost impossible. Himengshi was the only daughter of the Autumn Valley head. Pretending to be a disciple of the Autumn Valley? Hearing the green-robed young man's words, Himengshi frowned slightly. Then, she looked seriously at the white-robed young man in front of her. The way the white-robed young man looked at her gave her a strange feeling, as if he knew her. Just as the green-robed young man took a step forward and his Dharma power appeared, about to attack Zhou Dong Huang, Himengshi stopped him. Senior brother Huang Long, wait. The young man in the green robe was named Huang Long. Although he was not as powerful as Himengshi, he was older than Himengshi and had entered the Autumn Valley before Himengshi had even reached the Dharma stage. As such, Himengshi had to address him as senior. Since Himengshi had spoken, Huang Long naturally could not disobey. As he withdrew his Dharma power, he glared at Zhou Dong Huang. You know me? Himengshi looked at Zhou Dong Huang and asked curiously. Third senior sister. At this time, Zhou Dong Huang finally regained his composure and tried to suppress his emotions. He took a deep breath and smiled as he greeted Himengshi. Third senior sister? Zhou Dong Huang's greeting of Himengshi surprised her. Did you get the wrong person? Third senior sister, I would like to speak to you in private. Zhou Dong Huang said. Rascal, you are pretending to be a disciple of the Autumn Valley. You should be punished. How dare you make such a request of junior sister Mengshi? Huang Long said angrily. Himengshi and Zhou Dong Huang looked at each other. After a moment, she looked at Huang Long, senior brother Huang Long, go do what you need to do. I would like to hear what he has to say. If he can't explain himself, I'll punish him severely and kick him out of the Autumn Valley and out of the Lightning Sword sect." Huang Long nodded. Before he left, he glared angrily at Zhou Donghuang. "Brat, don't play any tricks." What he said was just a casual remark. He Mengxi's strength was above his, so he naturally didn't think that a mere silver core cultivator could pose a threat to her. After Huang Long left, He Mengxi looked at Zhou Donghuang, whose gaze had never left her. "Now it's just the two of us, what do you want to say?" "Third sister." Zhou Donghuang looked at He Mengxi and said slowly, "When you were 6 years old, you secretly placed a rat in your father's boots. Later, because you were afraid that your father would be angry and punish you, you secretly took the rat away. How did you know?" He Mengxi's expression changed. She was the only one who knew about this. Even her father didn't know about it. However, the white-clothed young man in front of her had casually said it, causing her hair to stand on end. Who was this person? How did he know this secret of hers? Zhou Donghuang didn't respond to He Mengxi and continued, "When you were 13, you entered the Khanate stage on the first day of the year. In order to get your father to praise you, you said that you broke through on the last day of the year you were 12. He Mengxi's eyes narrowed. This matter was also a secret that only she knew. When you were 19, when you were 21, what Zhou Donghuang was saying now was what his third sister, He Mengxi, had told him when they were chatting in his previous life. Before He Mengxi had told him about this, only she knew about it. Who are you?" He Mengxi's face was pale as she looked at the white-clothed young man in front of her. She felt that she had no secrets in front of this person. "Third sister." Zhou Donghuang smiled and said, "Don't be afraid. These are all the secrets I know about you. Speaking of which, you might not believe me. I only knew about these things in a dream. In the first half of the past year, I had a very long dream. In the dream, you were my third sister, and you told me about your background. You are He Mengxi, a disciple of the Autumn Valley of the Lightning Sword sect on the Tai-Lao planet of the Hengliu galaxy. The things that I said just now were all told to me in the dream. I am not from the Tai-Lao planet, not even from the Hengliu galaxy. I am from the Ziyun planet of the Kaiyuan galaxy. The Donghuang sect, the leader of the top 5 sects of the Ziyun planet, is my sect, and I am the current leader of the Donghuang sect. I left the Ziyun planet half a year ago. Third sister, you can investigate all of this. I have no ill intentions in coming here, I just want to verify that dream. I never thought that the dream would be real." Zhou Donghuang sighed. As he said this, he saw the suspicion in He Mengxi's eyes, so he revealed his background without fear. "Furthermore, if what I said is true. Third sister, you are the only one who knows about this." "How did I know about it? Don't tell me that I have such extraordinary methods. Furthermore, I am 10 years younger than you, third sister. When you were 6, I was not even born yet." Zhou Donghuang continued. The reason why Zhou Donghuang had come up with such a big lie was because he really did not know how to explain it to his third sister. Other than this, he could not think of a better way to make third sister accept him as her junior without revealing that he had come from 1,000 years in the future. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, He Mengxi's furrowed brows relaxed. She felt that Zhou Donghuang's words made sense. "You came to the Lightning Sword sect, to the Autumn Valley, just to see me and verify your dream?" He Mengxi asked. "Not just that." Zhou Donghuang's expression was solemn as he said, "In my dream, I dreamt of something else. In the near future, the Lightning Sword sect would face a calamity. In that calamity, your father, the Autumn Valley head, died. As for you, you left the Tai-Lao planet and the Hengliu galaxy. I also met you later on. At that time, you were already an ultimate primordial soul adept. You and I were in the same sect, under the same master. Our master's disciples, eldest senior brother and second senior sister, died before you entered the sect. Among our master's disciples, you were ranked third, and I was the last to enter the sect, ranked fourth. Because of this, I address you as third sister. At this point, Zhou Donghuang did not continue. He Mengxi's expression had already changed. In her heart, she naturally felt that Zhou Donghuang's words were a little far-fetched. However, the secrets that Zhou Donghuang had spoken of were only known to her. Apart from her, no one else could have known. She was 100% sure of this. Combining all these factors, although she felt that it was ridiculous, she still believed the words of the young man in white before her. Why would the Lightning Sword sect face a calamity? When would it happen? He Mengxi asked. Hearing He Mengxi ask this, Zhou Donghuang knew that she already believed his words. The Lightning Sword sect's calamity was caused by the Spring Valley head. As for the specific reason, you did not tell me. As for when it would happen, you did not tell me clearly. Seeing that He Mengxi's expression had changed and her brows had furrowed, Zhou Donghuang said, "At that time, you only told me that when the Lightning Sword sect was destroyed. Third sister, you had just broken through and entered the late Dharma stage. If your level of practice had not increased due to my appearance, and you had trained normally, when you entered the late Dharma stage, you would have brought your father away from the Autumn Valley, and you would have been able to escape." Zhou Donghuang continued. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, He Mengxi heaved a sigh of relief. Third sister, the Xian planet that I am from is no longer suitable for me to continue training there. I would like to stay in the Autumn Valley to train. Can you speak to your father? Zhou Donghuang said to He Mengxi. Hearing this, He Mengxi looked deeply at Zhou Donghuang. Before the age of 30, if you do not enter the Dharma stage, you cannot enter the Autumn Valley. How old are you this year, and what is your level of practice? He Mengxi asked. 24 years old, Golden Essence stage. Zhou Donghuang said. 24 years old, Golden Essence stage. He Mengxi was shocked. Even she had only entered the Golden Essence stage when she was 25 years old, the person before her had actually entered the Golden Essence stage earlier than her. Furthermore, from what he had said, the planet that he had been on was obviously not as good as the Tai Lao planet, where the Lightning Sword sect was located. Within the Autumn Valley, there was a spell that could detect one's age through one's bones. After He Mengxi brought Zhou Donghuang there to confirm his age, and after seeing the golden inner yuan that surrounded Zhou Donghuang's body, she finally believed his words. The martial arts talent that you have displayed so far is sufficient. I can ask my father to accept you into the Autumn Valley, He Mengxi said to Zhou Donghuang. However, if you are not able to enter the Dharma stage before the age of 30, and you wish to remain in the Lightning Sword sect, you will have to leave the Autumn Valley and join the 5 outer halls. The 5 outer halls of the Lightning Sword sect were the Gold Hall, the Wood Hall, the Water Hall, the Fire Hall, and the Earth Hall. Previously, the patrolling disciple who had sent Zhou Donghuang to the Autumn Valley, Lu Ping, had claimed to be a disciple of the Wood Hall of the Lightning Sword sect. All right. Zhou Donghuang nodded, but at the same time, he reminded He Mengxi, third senior sister, the things that I have told you, it is best that you do not tell your father. It is fine if he does not believe me, but if he does, it will only add to his troubles. I know what I am doing, He Mengxi said. Just now, you said that you are from the Ziyun planet of the Kaiyuan galaxy? Furthermore, you are the current leader of the Donghuang sect, one of the top 5 sects on the Ziyun planet? Yes. Zhou Donghuang nodded, and his eyes flashed. On the Ziyun planet, if I claim to be the second strongest in martial arts, no one would dare to claim to be the first. In the current generation of the Ziyun planet, I, Zhou Donghuang, am invincible. Chapter 222. But. Third senior sister, if you want to go to the Kaiyuan galaxy or the Ziyun planet, there is no way to use the galaxy teleporter. There is no galaxy teleporter in the Kaiyuan galaxy, Zhou Donghuang said to He Mengxi. Zhou Donghuang said to He Mengxi, however, I have the specific coordinates of the galaxy teleporter closest to Ziyun, which is adjacent to the Kaiyuan galaxy. I can give it to you. In addition, I can create a three-dimensional star chart to show you how to get to the Ziyun planet from the galaxy teleporter. Zhou Donghuang's words were very magnanimous. In his previous life, he had understood his third senior sister very well. She was a cautious person, and she would definitely go to the Ziyun planet to find out more about him. Only then would she be at ease. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Donghuang took out a pen and paper and drew a three-dimensional star chart on the paper. He marked out the coordinates of the galaxy teleporter in the Autumn Mountain Galaxy, the Heyu planet, and the route to the Ziyun planet in the Kaiyuan galaxy. He then handed it to He Mengshi. He Mengshi did not stop him throughout the process, because sooner or later, she would have to draw this star chart for him. Under He Mengshi's shocked gaze, Zhou Donghuang spoke first. In my dream, third senior sister, you were a cautious person, so I concluded that you would definitely go to the Ziyun planet. In the coming days, I will be busy breaking through to my current level of practice, and I plan to stay in the Autumn Valley to train, so I'm afraid I won't be able to go with you, third senior sister. Zhou Donghuang said. As she took the star chart, He Mengshi looked at Zhou Donghuang with a complicated expression. She felt that she had no secrets in front of him. You said earlier that your dream lasted for half a year, and it has now ended. When did it end? He Mengshi asked. Zhou Donghuang took a deep breath. Third senior sister, I only woke up when you died in the dream. Died? He Mengshi's expression changed. Everyone was afraid of death, and she was only 34 years old. Even with her current level of practice, she could normally live to 600 years old. How did you die? He Mengshi asked in a low voice. I was killed. Zhou Donghuang sighed and said, but don't worry, third senior sister, since I have come to the Autumn Valley to find you, I will definitely change your fate in my dream. Furthermore, as long as you and your father are able to avoid the lightning sword sect's destruction, my dream will also change. In reality, my appearance in front of you has already changed the trajectory of our lives in my dream. In the dream, I only met you 100 years later. Zhou Donghuang said. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, He Mengshi heaved a sigh of relief. If that was the case, then her and her father's fate in Zhou Donghuang's dream could be changed. I'll take you to see my father so that he can accept you as a disciple of the Autumn Valley. He Mengshi brought Zhou Donghuang to find her father, the current valley head of the Autumn Valley, He Jin. He Jin was a middle-aged man of average build and average looks. He had a goatee and a mustache above his upper lip. At first glance, he looked nothing like He Mengshi. It was hard to imagine how someone as average as He Jin, who had lost face and could not be found in a group, could have such a beautiful daughter. Zhou Donghuang looked at He Jin carefully and found that He Jin and He Mengshi looked alike. The contours of their ears were almost exactly the same. Father, his name is Zhou Donghuang. He is a martial arts genius that I met outside. He is 24 years old and became a Golden Essence Adept a year ago, 1 year before I did. He Mengshi stood in front of He Jin. She no longer had the mature look from before. Instead, she was like a lively little girl. She held He Jin's arm and smiled as she introduced Zhou Donghuang to him. Greetings, Valley Head. Zhou Donghuang nodded at He Jin and cupped his hands in greeting. Of course, he only bowed to the man in front of him because He Mengshi was his third senior sister. If not for He Mengshi, even if the Lightning Sword sect leader appeared in front of Zhou Donghuang would not have bowed to him, much less He Jin, who was only the Autumn Valley head of the Lightning Sword sect. This was also the pride of his past life as an ultimate celestial adept. I believe in that girl Mengshi's judgment. He Jin was obviously a friendly and approachable person. He smiled at Zhou Donghuang. Young man, since Mengshi has brought you here, I assume that you have the intention of entering the Lightning Sword sect and the Autumn Valley? Yes. Zhou Donghuang nodded. I can let you enter the Autumn Valley. But I have to warn you first. He Jin had not finished speaking when He Mengshi interrupted him. Father, I have already told him that if he does not reach the Dharma stage by the age of 30, he will be expelled from the Autumn Valley and sent to the 5 outer halls. He will be demoted from an inner disciple to an outer disciple. Obviously, He Mengshi knew what her father was going to say next. Since you have already told him, I will not repeat myself. He Jin looked at He Mengshi dotingly. Mengshi, I have already agreed. You can take him to complete the formalities for entering the sect. Yes, father. He Mengshi replied and looked at He Jin longingly. Under He Jin's shocked gaze, she finally left with Zhou Donghuang. This girl. I have never seen her so clingy before. He Jin could not help but shake his head and smile at He Mengshi's reluctant gaze. The doting look in his eyes deepened. The formalities for entering the sect were not done in the Autumn Valley. Instead, they had to be done at the Earth Hall, one of the 5 outer halls of the Lightning Sword sect. However, with He Mengshi, the only daughter of the Autumn Valley head, He Jin, taking Zhou Donghuang along, everything went smoothly. In less than an hour, everything was done. Zhou Donghuang received a total of 3 items. Every month, inner sect disciples could receive a spirit stone, 1 superior quality spirit stone. The Lightning Sword sect inner sect disciple identity token was a silver, sword-shaped token with the words, lightning, carved on the front and Zhou Donghuang's name on the back. There was also a red maple leaf metal piece that could be pinned to the chest with Zhou Donghuang's name on the back. This was also the symbol of an Autumn Valley disciple. The inner sect disciples are divided into 4 valleys. The Autumn Valley is only one of them. There are also the Spring Valley, the Summer Valley, and the Winter Valley. The Autumn Valley, including you, has a total of 56 disciples. Inner sect disciples who can attain the primordial soul stage before the age of 100 can become core disciples. They can leave the 4 valleys and head to the Lightning Peak to train. The Lightning Peak is where the core disciples of the Lightning Sword sect and the strongest of the sect gather. Every once in a while, the strongest of the sect will give a lecture. My father is the Autumn Valley head and one of the pillars of the Lightning Sword sect. Every year, he goes to the Lightning Peak to give a few lectures. Core disciples can receive 10 superior quality spirit stones every month. As He Mengshi finished speaking, Zhou Donghuang thought of the small, inferior quality spirit stone mines owned by the 5 main sects of the Ziyun planet and could not help but sigh to himself. In comparison, the Lightning Sword sect seemed rich and powerful. Moreover, in his previous life, he had heard from 3rd senior sister that the Lightning Sword sect was one of the top sects in the Hengliu galaxy. Initially, when he had found out that the enemy of the Dharma adept who had left behind the Soul Shaper was in the Hengliu galaxy, he had thought it was a coincidence because he had originally planned to go to the Lightning Sword sect to train. Later, when he had gone to the Tianxian planet of the Luoha galaxy, he had found out from the Luo family that his fiancée, Luo Qinghan, was also in the Hengliu galaxy. In my previous life, 3rd senior sister told me that the Lightning Sword sect has a divine transformation adept. Usually, a sect with a divine transformation adept would have at least 1 small-scale superior quality spirit stone mine and several large-scale medium-quality spirit stone mines. Zhou Donghuang's heart skipped a beat. Let's go back to the Autumn Valley. I'll introduce you to a group of brothers and sisters in the Autumn Valley. After He Mengshi brought Zhou Donghuang back to the Autumn Valley, she formally introduced Zhou Donghuang to a group of Autumn Valley disciples in the sky above the Autumn Valley. This also let all the disciples who were not training in seclusion know that a new disciple had joined the Autumn Valley. Little junior brother, introduce yourself. He Mengshi said to Zhou Donghuang after introducing him. He Mengshi had originally called Zhou Donghuang junior brother Zhou, but Zhou Donghuang had insisted that she call him little junior brother. Seeing that Zhou Donghuang was serious, He Mengshi could only go along with him. After all, she still had to rely on Zhou Donghuang to change her and her father's fate. There was even one thing that she had not told Zhou Donghuang yet. She wanted to change the fate of the entire Lightning Sword sect and save it from destruction. Hello everyone, my name is Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang stood up and looked around at the people who had risen into the air and greeted them. Huh. Hello, Junior Brother Zhou. Junior Brother Zhou, you're so handsome. I want to pursue you, is that okay? Junior Brother Zhou is only a Golden Essence Adept, and yet he has joined the Autumn Valley. It seems like the Valley Head is very confident in Junior Brother Zhou's martial arts talent. Junior Brother Zhou, you haven't picked a place to train yet, have you? There's an empty yard near where I train. Why don't you stay there? I'll go over and give you some pointers when I have time in the future. Appearance was not only useful on Earth, but it was also useful in the boundless universe. Now, among the group of Autumn Valley disciples, the ones who were most enthusiastic about Zhou Donghuang joining the sect were some of the female disciples, who were constantly throwing flirtatious glances at him. Many of the male disciples looked at Zhou Donghuang with jealousy. This kid. Is he really a disciple that the Valley Head took in outside, but junior sister Mengxi doesn't know about it? Huang Long, the Autumn Valley disciple who had brought Zhou Donghuang to look for Mengxi 2 hours ago, stood in the air and speculated to himself. But it's only been 2 hours. How did he go from a Silver Essence Adept to a Golden Essence Adept? Could it be that he broke through in just 2 hours? Now, Zhou Donghuang stood in the air in front of Mengxi, his body surrounded by golden inner yuan. Chapter 223. Before leaving the Ziyun planet, Zhou Donghuang already had a plan in mind. He would leave the Ziyun planet and head to the Tailao planet of the Hengliu galaxy. He would go to the Lightning Sword sect to look for third senior sister Mengxi and help her change the fate of the Lightning Sword sect so that she would not have to wander around. However, Mengxi might not follow the path of her previous life and become the disciple of her master. As long as it was Mengxi's choice, he would respect it. The Lightning Sword sect, the Tailao planet, and even the Hengliu galaxy are enough to provide me with the best training environment before I reach the primordial soul stage. Before I reach the primordial soul stage, I will stay in the Hengliu galaxy to train. This was Zhou Donghuang's plan. De Zhuang. Just as many of the female disciples of the Autumn Valley were throwing flirtatious glances at Zhou Donghuang, and many of the male disciples were looking at him with jealousy, Mengxi spoke up. Her gaze fell on the sturdy figure standing far away in the sky behind the crowd. There's an empty courtyard next to the courtyard you live in. Bring junior brother there and help him tidy up that courtyard. You entered the sect before little junior brother, so take good care of him. When Mengxi spoke now, her tone was obviously gentler, and it felt like a spring breeze. Yes, senior sister. As he replied, Zhou Donghuang's gaze also fell on him. The muscular figure was also approaching them through the air. This was a young man who was ridiculously tall. He was about 3 meters tall, but in terms of size, it was comparable to the Dharma power of an early Dharma adept. 10 feet was equivalent to 3 meters. In the blink of an eye, the young man, who was like a giant, came to stand in front of Zhou Donghuang. He stood there like an iron tower, majestic and unmoving. He grinned, revealing 2 rows of snow-white teeth. His smile was simple and honest, even a little silly. Little junior brother, how are you? I am De Zhuang, pleased to meet you. De Zhuang's body was so large that even Zhou Donghuang, who was more than 1.8 meters tall, seemed very small in front of him, like a child. Little junior brother, although De Zhuang is already 29 years old and is a Golden Essence Adept, he has never been as smart as a normal person since he was young. Don't bully him. At this moment, Mengxi appeared beside Zhou Donghuang in a flash and spoke in a voice that only Zhou Donghuang could hear. The seriousness in her tone made Zhou Donghuang realize that De Zhuang had a special place in his third senior sister's heart. Otherwise, how could his third senior sister be so motherly? De Zhuang. After reminding Zhou Donghuang softly, He Mengshi looked at the giant. De Zhuang, I will be going on a long journey in the next few days. Take good care of little brother. Don't worry, senior sister. With me here, whoever dares to bully junior brother, I will definitely teach them a lesson. De Zhuang laughed like a fool. At the same time, the way Zhou Donghuang looked at De Zhuang also became gentler, and his heart skipped a beat. He must be the one that third senior sister told me about in my previous life. He was the Autumn Valley disciple who risked his life to send third senior sister to the galaxy teleporter when the Lightning Sword sect was destroyed. He sacrificed himself to buy time for third senior sister to be teleported. I remember third senior sister saying that his name was De Zhuang. The hazy memories of his previous life gradually became clear at this moment. In his previous life, whenever He Mengshi mentioned the Autumn Valley disciple who had risked his life to save her, her eyes would shine with motherly light, and she could not help but sigh. It was also because of this that Zhou Donghuang's attitude towards De Zhuang changed subtly. Little brother, you should go with De Zhuang. He Mengshi said to Zhou Donghuang. As she finished speaking, she looked at the rest of the Autumn Valley disciples. As for the rest of you, go back to whatever you were doing. In the Autumn Valley, in terms of seniority, He Mengshi could only be considered a junior. However, as the only daughter of the Autumn Valley head, He Jin, she was destined to have the aura of a natural leader. Following her command, the group of Autumn Valley disciples dispersed. Of course, there were still a few female Autumn Valley disciples who winked at Zhou Donghuang before reluctantly leaving. Although there were many male disciples in the Autumn Valley, none of them caught their eye. Just based on his looks, this new junior brother was able to make their hearts race. Their hormones, which had been dormant for many years, seemed to explode at this moment. Little brother, follow me. De Zhuang gave Zhou Donghuang a simple smile and led the way. Zhou Donghuang followed closely behind. The courtyard that De Zhuang lived in was on the same side as He Mengshi's and the Autumn Valley heads, He Jin's. They were all halfway up the mountain to the east of the Autumn Valley. Of course, there was still some distance between them. Halfway up the mountain, the sound of water could be heard. The water from a small waterfall splashed onto the stone platform, creating countless splashes. Behind the stone platform halfway up the mountain, there were two courtyards. Each courtyard had a spacious room, and in front of the door was a front yard planted with many flowers and plants. There was a stone table and a few stone stools in front of the table. However, compared to the clean and tidy appearance of one of the courtyards, the other was covered in a layer of dust and covered in cobwebs. Little brother, I'll help you clean up. As soon as he finished speaking, De Zhuang tore off his sleeves and rushed into the courtyard covered in cobwebs. Zhou Donghuang had been wondering what this guy was doing with his sleeves, but he later realized that he was using his sleeves as a rag to wipe the table and the door. He's a golden essence adept after all, is there a need to do this? Zhou Donghuang was speechless. At the same time, he realized that this blockhead's brain was not flexible. Whoosh! Whoosh! As Zhou Donghuang's golden inner yuan surged out, he walked into the courtyard that De Zhuang was still cleaning. His inner yuan swept out in all directions, forming a small tornado. In the blink of an eye, all the dust and cobwebs in the courtyard were carried by his inner yuan and swirled around Zhou Donghuang. At this moment, the entire courtyard looked brand new. Whoosh! Under De Zhuang's shocked gaze, Zhou Donghuang left the stone platform in a flash and flew into the air. As he withdrew his inner yuan, the dust fell from the sky. His white robe was still as shiny as new, without a speck of dust. Little junior brother, you're so smart, why didn't I think of using my inner yuan to clean the courtyard? De Zhuang followed him out and reached out to pat his head. No wonder senior sister always says I'm stupid. I really am. Little junior brother, how can I be as smart as you? De Zhuang stared at Zhou Donghuang. Sometimes, being smart is not a good thing. Zhou Donghuang shook his head. As the saying went, there are gains and losses. The smarter a person was, the more trouble they had. For people like De Zhuang, who had what people on earth called gigantism and was not very bright, at least they did not have too many troubles. De Zhuang did not understand. Why is being smart not a good thing? Senior sister said that if I were smarter, my combat ability would not be so bad. Although I'm a Golden Essence Adept, in the Lightning Sword sect, any Golden Essence Adept, even an outer disciple, is no match for me. As De Zhuang spoke, he reached out and scratched his head, his face full of distress. I'm too stupid. Senior sister said that my reaction is too slow, always half a beat too slow. Slow reaction? Zhou Donghuang smiled lightly. In his previous life, he had met many giants like De Zhuang. Their situations were the same as De Zhuang's, but without exception, they were all strong. Just because they were not very smart did not mean that they did not have brains. Slow reaction did not mean that they were not talented. As long as they found the right path, they could even have an advantage over ordinary people. Come. Attack me. Zhou Donghuang suddenly said to De Zhuang. Huh? De Zhuang was stunned, unable to react. I want you to attack me with all your strength. Zhou Donghuang repeated. Attack you with all my strength? De Zhuang finally reacted and immediately waved his hands. Little junior brother, no, although I can't hit other Golden Essence Adepts, I can hit you. If I hit you, I'm very strong, the power of my punch is much stronger than that of ordinary Golden Essence Adepts. Even they would not dare to fight me head-on. De Zhuang did not attack, as if he was afraid of hurting Zhou Donghuang. You're strong? Zhou Donghuang was stunned at first, but then he smiled lightly. That's good, I'm strong too, since you're not attacking, I'll do it. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Donghuang moved. Whoosh! Zhou Donghuang, surrounded by golden inner yuan, flew through the air. In the blink of an eye, he was near De Zhuang, and his fist, which was imbued with the inner yuan of a golden essence, flew towards De Zhuang. Golden flames surged around his fist, like golden fireworks blossoming. Seeing Zhou Donghuang attack, De Zhuang was forced to attack, but he did not dare to use all his strength. After roughly gauging the strength of Zhou Donghuang's fist, he attacked with a similar amount of strength. Bang! There was a loud sound. It was De Zhuang's huge fist that collided with Zhou Donghuang's fist, and the two golden flames clashed. They were evenly matched. Little junior brother, I only used 70% of my strength. De Zhuang grinned and said to Zhou Donghuang. You're very strong indeed. Zhou Donghuang was a little surprised. The strength that De Zhuang could display with just his physical body was even stronger than that of an ordinary Golden Essence Adept using a mid-grade spirit weapon. He was practically a natural-born fighting machine. Not only did this blockhead's body look huge, but the strength that it contained was also very strong. Furthermore, he could see that, and this was under the condition that De Zhuang had not undergone body tempering. Just by tempering his body with his inner yuan, he was able to give his body such strength. Such a person could be said to be a one-in-a-million body-tempering genius. Let's leave it at that. Zhou Donghuang said to De Zhuang. All right. De Zhuang smiled and withdrew his fist. Zhou Donghuang also withdrew his hand and stood upright. Looking at De Zhuang, his eyes flashed. This De Zhuang was born for body-tempering techniques like the Fiery Thunder Training Regimen. Chapter 224. Just like that. Zhou Donghuang stayed in the Autumn Valley of the Lightning Sword sect. Whenever he cultivated, he would take out a large number of spiritual stones from his space ring and set up a spirit-gathering formation to aid his cultivation, allowing his cultivation speed to increase. Before going to the Tianxian planet of the Luoha galaxy to look for Luo Qinghan, other than the space ring left behind by a peak Dharma adept on the Honglong planet of the Tianma galaxy, he had also gone to other planets to find the relics of other Dharma adepts. However, the last few Dharma adepts had set up some tests. Only those who discovered the location of their relics and passed the test set up when they were alive would be able to obtain their relics. The test set up by a mere Dharma adept could not be that strong. With Zhou Donghuang's current abilities and experience from his past life, he easily passed the tests and obtained the relics they had left behind. However, the things that these people had left behind, to Zhou Donghuang, were the spirit weapons, elixir formulas, and some low-quality elixirs in the spirit stones. With Zhou Donghuang's standards, these were not worth his attention at all. Not to mention a supreme treasure like the Soul Shaper, there was nothing that could compare in value to the Elixir King fruit. I need to quickly transform this last silver essence into a golden essence. According to the requirements of the Lord of the Four Supremes, I must first train all four primal essences in my body to the golden essence stage before I can break through to the Dharma stage. Zhou Donghuang sat on the bed in his room, his eyes shining. For most golden essence adepts to enter the early Dharma stage, the birth of a Dharma power in their golden essence is a sign that they have reached the early Dharma stage. However, for me, who practices the Lord of the Four Supremes, according to the requirements of the Lord of the Four Supremes, I need to birth all four golden essences and form a Dharma power before I can truly enter the early Dharma stage. Of course, this is the standard set by the Lord of the Four Supremes. Even if I only have one golden essence in my body that has formed a Dharma power, with that Dharma power, my abilities will not be weaker than most early Dharma adepts. Furthermore, because the Lord of the Four Supremes forms the Dharma power of the four divine beasts, I am almost invincible among Dharma adepts of the same level. What were the four divine beasts? That was a legendary powerful divine beast that had the ability to crush stellar domains and swallow stellar rivers. It stood at the very top of the food chain. Even if the Dharma powers of the four great divine beasts only contained 1/1000th of the true power of the divine beasts, it was still not something an ordinary Dharma power could compare to. If I were to enter the early Dharma stage recognized by the Lord of the Four Supremes and condense the Dharma powers of the four divine beasts, even if all the Dharma powers are only 10 feet long, I might be able to defeat or even kill an average late Dharma adept. Zhou Donghuang muttered to himself with a gleam in his eyes. Of course, this was only his guess at the moment. As for the specifics, he would have to wait until he actually condensed the Dharma power of the four mythical beasts in the future to find out. The Lightning Sword sect now had another inner disciple. The Autumn Valley had a new disciple. Even to the disciples of the Autumn Valley, this was a small matter. As for the entire Lightning Sword sect, it was even less of a concern. However, to the Autumn Valley disciple, De Zhuang, this was no small matter. This was because his senior sister had asked him to take good care of this little brother. There were many female disciples in the Autumn Valley, and in terms of seniority, there were quite a few who were above De Zhuang. However, he addressed them by their full names, except for Himengshi, who he addressed directly as senior sister without any other prefix. Little brother, if you have any needs, you can look for me at any time. Even if I'm practicing, you can interrupt me. As long as I can do anything for you, I will do my best to help you. This is because my senior sister has asked me to take care of you. Zhou Donghuang had initially had a good impression of De Zhuang because his third senior sister, Himengshi, had mentioned him in her past life. However, in the following period of time, De Zhuang's attitude towards this 3-meter-tall giant had changed because of what Himengshi had said to him. Zhou Donghuang had acknowledged him as a friend. This was also the first friend that Zhou Donghuang had made in the Lightning Sword sect. After De Zhuang had once again helped him buy the herbs that he needed, Zhou Donghuang was not in a hurry to collect them. He smiled and asked, De Zhuang, how did you enter the Lightning Sword sect and the Autumn Valley? The valley head and senior sister brought me in. De Zhuang smiled sheepishly. Where is your home? Is it on the Tailao planet? Zhou Donghuang asked curiously. Home? De Zhuang paused for a moment, then shook his head. I don't have a home. Ever since I could remember, my family was a group of giant apes. Of course, De Zhuang only found out later that De Zhuang was a human, and they were demonic beasts in the eyes of humans and demons. At that time, the entire group of giant apes that I was in was killed by a strong individual, and I was the only one left. That person was about to kill De Zhuang, but Senior Sister and the Valley Master happened to pass by. The Valley Master knew that expert, so he didn't want to be a busybody, but Senior Sister pitied me and insisted on saving me, so the Valley Master saved me. At this point, De Zhuang's eyes turned red, and his inner yuan started to rise. Although they were giant apes, if they had not raised me, I would have died long ago. I must avenge them, I must avenge them. After a while, De Zhuang was like a punctured balloon, completely deflated. However, that person was too strong, and it was too difficult for me to kill him to avenge them. Senior Sister said that he was a strong primordial soul adept, and he was not much weaker than the valley head. If I want to kill him, it will be harder than reaching the heavens. At this point, without any warning, De Zhuang squatted down and buried his head in tears. At this point, the 3-meter-tall giant seemed to have become a crybaby. Let me help you. Zhou Donghuang looked at De Zhuang and smiled lightly. De Zhuang stopped crying and looked up at Zhou Donghuang in disbelief. You help me? You? How can you help me? You are not even as strong as me, how can you help me? You don't believe me? Zhou Donghuang looked deeply at De Zhuang and asked. Meeting Zhou Donghuang's clear gaze, De Zhuang was stunned at first, but he quickly regained his composure and said seriously, if you can avenge De Zhuang, my life will be yours. In De Zhuang's heart, Senior Sister is the most important, but if you can avenge me, you can be as important as Senior Sister. Take this cultivation method as payment for running errands for me during this period of time. Zhou Donghuang raised his hand, and a stack of paper filled with words appeared in his hand. Inner yuan flowed from his hand as he passed the paper to De Zhuang. You should be able to read. Yes. De Zhuang nodded, but he did not reach out to take the stack of paper that was floating in the air with Zhou Donghuang's inner yuan. Little junior brother, you don't have to help me avenge my death. Senior Sister told me to take care of you. Even if someone wants to kill you and I can't defeat him, I'll help you block him and die in front of you. If anyone else had said this, Zhou Donghuang would have thought that they were trying to win him over. However, after spending some time with De Zhuang, Zhou Donghuang knew that this silly man could not possibly be so scheming. Furthermore, although he had been in the Autumn Valley of the Lightning Sword sect for some time, he had not revealed himself, and no one knew what was so special about him. Under such circumstances, even those who were scheming would not purposely try to curry favor with him, much less a silly man like De Zhuang. To curry favor with someone, one had to have something in return, right? If you want revenge, take this, Zhou Donghuang said lightly. This is a technique that can be practiced all the way to the primordial soul stage. As for the technique after that, I'll give it to you when you reach the primordial soul stage. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, De Zhuang's eyes lit up with excitement, and he could not help but raise his hand. However, just as his hand was in mid-air, he stopped. Little brother, Senior Sister told me before that I cannot accept a reward without doing anything. I cannot accept this technique. I cannot accept a reward without doing anything. Zhou Donghuang shook his head. Didn't you say that if I can help you take revenge, I will become the second most important person in your heart? To me, this is the best reward you can give me. Seeing that De Zhuang was still hesitating, Zhou Donghuang said, if you do not accept this technique today, no matter what happens in the future, I will not ask you for help. In fact, I will even tell Senior Sister that you did not take good care of me. Little brother, how can you do this? De Zhuang was so anxious that his face turned red. You can't tell Senior Sister like this. No, you can't. Then accept it. Zhou Donghuang was a little speechless. He had just taken out the Fiery Thunder training regimen, which was considered a top-notch technique in the entire universe. Everyone would fight to get their hands on it, but this blockhead had not accepted it even after so long. Okay, I'll accept it. But you can't tell senior sister that I did not take good care of you. You can't tell her. De Zhuang said anxiously. As long as you accept this technique, practice it properly, and don't pass it on to anyone else, I will not tell your senior sister that you did not take good care of me. At this point, Zhou Donghuang realized, in this blockhead's heart, his third senior sister's opinion of him seemed to be more important than anything else. No wonder in his previous life, this blockhead had risked his life to save third senior sister. De Zhuang will practice it properly, but this technique, even senior sister cannot pass it on. De Zhuang looked at Zhou Donghuang. As for senior sister, I have a technique that is not inferior to this one for her to practice. This technique is not suitable for her. Chapter 225. De Zhuang, this 9-ringed bamboo, who sold it to you? From the pile of herbs that De Zhuang had bought for him, Zhou Donghuang took out a herb that looked like a green bamboo. It was about the length of 2 fingers, and from top to bottom, there were 9 distinct carvings on it. It looked very special. The 9-ringed bamboo was the most valuable herb that Zhou Donghuang had asked De Zhuang to buy. It was the main ingredient that he needed to produce a type of core drug, and it was also the most valuable. Of course, the price varied, and it was usually around 100 mid-quality spirit stones. 100 mid-quality spirit stones was equivalent to 10 high-quality spirit stones. The core disciples of the Lightning Sword sect could collect 10 high-quality spirit stones from the Lightning Sword sect every month. As for inner sect disciples, they had to wait 10 months before they could receive 10 high-quality spirit stones. This was because the Lightning Sword sect only gave out 1 high-quality spirit stone to inner sect disciples every month. As for outer sect disciples, it was even rarer. It was said that they only received 3 mid-quality spirit stones. It's the Summer Valley disciple, Pan Yilan. De Zhuang looked at the bamboo that Zhou Donghuang had specially taken out from the pile of herbs and thought for a moment before he remembered. How many spirit stones did he sell it to you? Zhou Donghuang asked again. 110 mid-grade spirit stones. De Zhuang said. He took quite a lot of spirit stones. Zhou Donghuang's eyes narrowed, and a cold light flashed in them. What's wrong? Although De Zhuang looked a little dumb, he still knew how to read people's expressions. Seeing Zhou Donghuang like this, he felt that something was wrong. This 9-ringed bamboo, is there something wrong with it? This is not 9-ringed bamboo. Zhou Donghuang suddenly opened his eyes and shook his head. This is 6-ringed bamboo, and the other 3 lines were added by someone else. Although the 9 lines on it seem to be the same, the order of the lines is not uniform. For a normal 9-ringed bamboo, the distance between each line is basically the same. Look at this, without these 3 lines, the other 6 lines would be the same distance between each other. However, the existence of these 3 lines has broken the rules of the distance between the lines, and it has become irregular. As Zhou Donghuang spoke, he showed the 9-ringed bamboo to De Zhuang and pointed at the 3 markings on it. Although there are only 3 veined patterns between 6-ringed bamboo and 9-ringed bamboo, the difference in value is huge. A 9-ringed bamboo is worth about 100 mid-tier spirit stones. If you're buying a real 9-ringed bamboo, 110 mid-tier spirit stones isn't that expensive. However, this is a fake 9-ringed bamboo. It's just a 6-ringed bamboo. The value of the 6-ringed bamboo is at most 1/10 of the 9-ringed bamboo. This 6-ringed bamboo is worth 10 mid-grade spirit stones at most. You have been deceived. Zhou Donghuang shook his head. Aside from alchemists, not many people knew about the specific characteristics of 9-ringed bamboo. In Zhou Donghuang's previous life, many people had been deceived by 6-ringed bamboo. However, those who had been deceived had been laymen or average core forging masters. Even if a skilled core forging master did not know how to identify 9-ringed bamboo based on this characteristic, he would still be able to identify nine-ringed bamboo based on its other characteristics. All medicinal herbs of a certain age would have these subtle characteristics. Different paths lead to the same goal. Nine-ringed bamboo was no exception. I've been deceived. After hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, De Zhuang's face turned red, and his eyes widened. Anger began to rise in the depths of his eyes. That Pan Yilin, he lied to me? He lied to me? No way. I want to find him. I want to find him. De Zhuang's eyes were bloodshot because of his anger. It was as if he had turned into a demon from hell, ready to devour anyone who saw it. Little brother. I will definitely give you an explanation for this. De Zhuang snatched the nine-ringed bamboo from Zhou Donghuang's hands. His face was red as he spoke to Zhou Donghuang, then he hurriedly turned and left. Summer Valley disciple, Pan Yilin. Not long after De Zhuang left, Zhou Donghuang stood up and followed him out. In the Lightning Sword sect, there was a place for people of the sect to trade. Whether it was the senior members of the sect or the disciples, they could all trade here. Once an item was sold, as long as it was worth the money, it was not refundable. Of course, if you sold the item and felt that it was not worth it and wanted to buy it back, as long as the buyer did not relent, there was nothing you could do. The Lightning Sword sect's trade plaza was under the jurisdiction of the sect. It was fair, just, and open. Senior brother Lien, I sold the fake nine-ringed bamboo to De Zhuang of the Autumn Valley. After this, I will definitely anger senior sister Himengshi of the Autumn Valley. Senior sister Himengshi is the only daughter of the Autumn Valley head. If she comes looking for me, you have to protect me. You can't just ignore me. On one side of the trade plaza, a young man dressed in green said to another young man dressed in a golden robe with silver trim. The former had a medium build and ordinary looks. He was the type that would be hard to find in a crowd. The latter had a tall build and handsome features. The corners of his mouth were always curled up, and there was a hint of evil in him. Furthermore, you were the one who asked me to do this. The young man in green said fearfully. Junior brother Pan, you don't believe me? The young man in the golden robe glanced at the former and asked meaningfully, You are afraid that I will sacrifice you to please junior sister Himengshi? No, no. Although the former did think this way, he did not dare to say it out loud. This was because the person standing in front of him was the direct disciple of the Summer Valley head. He was definitely the pride of the Summer Valley, and if he offended him, it would be difficult for him to do anything in the Summer Valley. Once he was kicked out of the Summer Valley, the other three valleys would not want him anymore. As long as he wanted to stay in the Lightning Sword sect, he was destined to stay in the 5 outer halls for the rest of his life. Unless he could become a core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. However, the conditions to become a core disciple were extremely difficult. He knew this very well. Pan Yilin. Just as the young man in green was being subservient to the young man in the golden robe, a thunderous roar suddenly came from the sky above the trade plaza. The roar contained thick inner yuan and was deafening. Instantly, the gazes of the crowd in the trade plaza all landed on the tall, burly figure in the sky above the square. This was a burly young man who was more than 3 meters tall. He was so tall that he did not even look human. As soon as he appeared, many people immediately recognized him. It's De Zhuang of the Autumn Valley. What is this De Zhuang of the Autumn Valley trying to do? I've heard that this guy was raised by the giant ape demon. Did he learn the ferocity of the giant ape demon? Who angered him? Up in the sky, the tall, burly De Zhuang of the Autumn Valley successfully attracted everyone's attention. De Zhuang, what are you trying to do? The young man in green was subservient in front of the young man in the golden robe, but in front of De Zhuang, he was somewhat arrogant. He raised his head to look at De Zhuang in the sky and asked coldly. He was obviously the Summer Valley disciple that De Zhuang had come to look for, Pan Yilin. Pan Yilin, you sold me fake 9-ringed bamboo. De Zhuang descended from the sky and appeared in front of Pan Yilin in the blink of an eye. Because he was too tall and Pan Yilin was only about 1.7 meters tall, De Zhuang looked down at Pan Yilin and questioned him. Fake 9-ringed bamboo? Pan Yilin raised an eyebrow. De Zhuang, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. The 9-ringed bamboo that I sold you is not fake. It's not fake? De Zhuang's face was red as he took out the 9-ringed bamboo that he had bought from Pan Yilin and showed it to everyone who had gathered to watch the commotion. Little brother said that this 9-ringed bamboo is fake. The distance between the lines is irregular, and it is only 6-ringed bamboo. 6-ringed bamboo is worth at most 10 mid-level spirit stones, but you charged me 110 mid-level spirit stones. Do you really think that I, De Zhuang, am a pushover? De Zhuang glared at Pan Yilin angrily. His voice became deeper and deeper, and the golden inner yuan around him began to emanate uncontrollably. It was as if he would attack Pan Yilin at any time. Is that 9-ringed bamboo? I don't think it's 9-ringed bamboo. The lines of 9-ringed bamboo should not be like this. It's a fake 9-ringed bamboo made from 6-ringed bamboo. Pan Yilin actually sold a fake 9-ringed bamboo to De Zhuang for 110 mid-level spirit stones? That's not very kind. Most people who do not understand 9-ringed bamboo might actually be deceived by this fake 9-ringed bamboo. This Pan Yilin, how dare he? In the Lightning Sword sect, who doesn't know that the Autumn Valley disciple, De Zhuang, is backed by the daughter of the Autumn Valley head, Himengshi? What he did is not against the rules of the trade center. After all, one side is willing to take the hit, and the other side is willing to take the hit. But isn't he worried that Himengshi will come after him? Some of the onlookers had recognized that the 9-ringed bamboo in De Zhuang's hands was fake, but most of them were shocked by Pan Yilin's courage. This Summer Valley disciple, who had not even reached the Dharma stage, had the guts to deceive the daughter of the Autumn Valley head? Was he not afraid of death? De Zhuang. Pan Yilin's face darkened as the crowd pointed at him. How can you prove that this is the 9-ringed bamboo that I sold you? The 9-ringed bamboo that I sold you was not this one. Did you take the real 9-ringed bamboo and then blackmail me with a fake? Hearing Pan Yilin's accusation, De Zhuang was so angry that his face turned red. He shouted angrily, Pan Yilin, you're slandering me. I'll kill you. As he spoke, the golden inner yuan around De Zhuang's body surged, and he pounced at Pan Yilin. However, just as the golden inner yuan on Pan Yilin's body began to rise, someone else made a move even faster. With a raise of his hand, a 10-foot-tall Dharma image appeared and pressed Pan Yilin's entire body to the ground, rendering him unable to move. The person who had attacked was the young man in the golden robe beside Pan Yilin. De Zhuang, the sect's trade center has its own rules. It forbids disciples from fighting. The young man in the golden robe said in a low voice. It's Lian Can from the Summer Valley. Lian Can, the direct disciple of the Summer Valley head, entered the Dharma stage at the age of 26. He is also one of the most promising disciples of the younger generation of the Summer Valley to become a core disciple. The onlookers' gazes fell on the young man in the golden robe. P.S. I've been busy for the past few days, so I haven't been able to update much. End of this chapter. Chapter 226. Lian Can, the personal disciple of the Summer Valley head, had already entered the Dharma stage at the age of 26. A few years had passed, and it was rumored that he was not far from the mid-Dharma stage. Lian Can. De Zhuang, who was pinned to the ground by the palm of the golden-robed youth, glared angrily at him. Let go of me. I want to kill this slanderous B*****. Not only did he sell me fake goods, but he also slandered me. I want to kill him. I want to kill him. De Zhuang was enraged, and he roared. De Zhuang. Faced with De Zhuang, who was so angry that he had lost his mind, Lian can only smile. What proof do you have that Pan Yilan sold you fake goods? What proof do you have that you are not slandering Pan Yilan? Lian Can's words made De Zhuang's already ugly expression turn even uglier. Lian Can, you're in cahoots with Pan Yilan. De Zhuang, there are some things you can't say. Lian Can's eyes flashed coldly as he spoke in a low voice. At the same time, the giant palm that was pressing down on Lian Can pressed down further, causing De Zhuang, who was already so angry that his blood was boiling, to spit out a mouthful of blood. Some of the blood floated back to De Zhuang's face, causing his already twisted face to look even more ferocious. Zhou Donghuang followed De Zhuang over, and his expression changed when he saw that De Zhuang was injured. Whoosh! Zhou Donghuang's figure flickered, and like a bolt of white lightning, he headed straight for De Zhuang. Seeing that he was getting closer and closer to De Zhuang, Zhou Donghuang's expression darkened as he prepared to destroy the giant palm Dharma pressing down on De Zhuang. Lian Can, retract your Dharma. Before Zhou Donghuang made his move, an old voice rang out in the trade square. The voice was not loud, but it seemed to have some sort of magical power as it clearly reached the ears of everyone in the trade square. In the next moment, an old figure walked out from behind the crowd and looked at Lian Can, who was pressing down on De Zhuang. This was an old man dressed in a long grey robe. He was thin and of medium build, and he usually looked kind and benevolent. However, when he spoke to Lian Can, his eyes flashed with a frightening light. Elder Han. A look of fear flashed in Lian Can's eyes when he saw who it was. Without saying a word, he put away his giant palm Dharma. The moment Lian Can retracted his Dharma, De Zhuang, who had regained his freedom, lunged at Pan Yilan with bloodshot eyes. Pan Yilan did not move. Because he knew that there was no need to move. De Zhuang. Just as De Zhuang moved, he was once again blocked by the old man who had appeared in his path like a ghost. If you recklessly attack a fellow disciple, even that girl Mengshi won't be able to protect you. If you are expelled from the sect because of this, you will be letting down the high hopes that Mengshi has placed on you. At that time, she might regret bringing you back to the Lightning Sword sect. She might even regret meeting you and getting to know you. The old man who had stopped De Zhuang was the elder Han that Lian Can had mentioned, Han Ku. Han Ku was the elder of the Lightning Sword sect's Lightning Peak. Although the trade center was located in the outer sect, the elders of the Lightning Sword sect who were on duty at the trade center were, without exception, elders of the Lightning Peak. This was because the trade center was an extremely important place for the Lightning Sword sect. Moreover, from time to time, there would be conflicts between inner sect disciples and core disciples with strong backgrounds. Not just the outer sect elders, but even the inner sect elders might not be able to intervene. Under such circumstances, the Lightning Sword sect had sent the elders of the Lightning Peak to be on duty at the trade center. The elders of the Lightning Peak were the elders with the highest status in the Lightning Sword sect. They were on par with the four valley heads of the inner sect. Moreover, the four valley masters of the inner sect also had a seat as an elder in the Lightning Rush Peak. Elder Han is right. At the same time that Han Ku stopped De Zhuang, Lian Can smiled and looked at De Zhuang. De Zhuang, I heard that junior sister Mengshi recently went on a long trip. Are you thinking that when she returns, she will know that you have been expelled from the sect? After De Zhuang had been stopped by the Lightning Peak elder on duty at the trade center, he had not given up on the idea of attacking Pan Yilan. But now, after hearing Han Ku's words, he was stunned for a while before he came back to his senses and muttered to himself in a daze, "Senior sister. Senior sister. No. I can't let senior sister down. But senior sister asked me to take good care of junior brother, but I can't even do such a small thing. If senior sister finds out, she will not be happy." De Zhuang stood rooted to the ground, his expression changing as he wavered. De Zhuang. At this time, Han Ku continued, the trade center has its rules. One party pays the money, and the other party delivers the goods. Once the money and the goods have been cleared, there will be no further dealings. Let's not talk about the truth of this matter for now. Only you know the truth. Even if Pan Yilin really did lie to you, according to the rules of the trade center and the rules of the sect, you are destined to suffer in silence. During the trade, if you found out that there was something wrong with the 9-ringed bamboo, you could have refused to trade. If you did not find out, you could only blame it on your bad luck. It's not just you. Even I, and even Mengshi, are the same. You, just take it as buying a lesson. Han Ku was on good terms with the Autumn Valley head, He Jin, and he treated He Mengshi like a daughter. Naturally, he was very patient with De Zhuang. Otherwise, if it were any other Lightning Peak elder here, even if he had to consider He Mengshi and He Jin who was behind her and give He Jin some face, he would not have been so patient. But the 9-ringed bamboo was bought by junior brother, and the 110 mid-level spirit stones are also junior brothers. Hearing Han Ku's words, De Zhuang calmed down, but he was still a little anxious. I don't have that many spirit stones to return to junior brother. Seeing that De Zhuang had calmed down, Han Ku heaved a sigh of relief and shook his head with a smile. It's only 110 mid-level spirit stones. I'll return them for you. To a Spring Thunder Peak elder like Han Ku, over 100 medium spiritual stones were nothing. In fact, the number of spirit stones that the Lightning Sword sect gave him every month was even more than this. No. I can't accept it. De Zhuang shook his head resolutely. I'll go talk to junior brother. When I've collected 11 high-quality spirit stones, I'll return them to him. Although inner sect disciples of the Lightning Sword sect could collect 1 high-quality spirit stone every month, De Zhuang's high-quality spirit stones were all used up. However, the superior-grade spirit stones in De Zhuang's hands were basically all used up not long after they were distributed. He had no other way to earn spirit stones, so he was in dire need of them. De Zhuang, you don't have to return those spirit stones. Just then, Zhou Donghuang, who had already landed on the ground, walked forward and spoke to De Zhuang. Junior brother? You're here too? Seeing Zhou Donghuang, De Zhuang was first stunned, then his face was full of guilt. Junior brother, I'm sorry. I'll definitely collect those spirit stones and return them to you. I can't not return them. Zhou Donghuang knew that De Zhuang had a one-track mind, so he did not pursue the matter further. He turned to look at Elder Han Ku of the Lightning Peak. Elder Han, from what you said just now, you mean, even if it is a fake, as long as it can be sold at the trading center, after the money is paid for, the person who bought the fake can only blame it on his bad luck? This is also a rule that is protected by the sect? Zhou Donghuang asked directly. You're the young fellow who recently joined the Autumn Valley? Because he was close to the Autumn Valley head, He Jin, Han Ku also knew that the Autumn Valley had recently recruited a new disciple. That's right. Faced with Zhou Donghuang's question, Han Ku nodded. The sect set up this rule in the hopes that the disciples will learn more within the sect, so that they won't be taken advantage of outside. It's not a bad thing to suffer a little more. Furthermore, being able to sell fake goods within the sect is also considered a skill to a certain extent, Han Ku said. Zhou Donghuang nodded. I understand. Zhou Donghuang nodded, then casually glanced at the Summer Valley disciples, Lian Kan and Pan Yilin. After looking away, he said to De Zhuang, let's go back. All right. De Zhuang agreed and left with Zhou Donghuang. The huge trade center once again regained its peace. To the people of the Lightning Sword sect present, this was just a small interlude. That young fellow just now, is he the new disciple who recently joined the Autumn Valley? I think he's called Zhou. Zhou something Huang? Lian Kan looked at Pan Yilin and asked with a slight frown. I think so. Pan Yilin nodded. I heard from the people of the Autumn Valley that the new disciple, Zhou Donghuang, is extremely handsome, dressed in robes whiter than snow, and has an extraordinary aura. Seeing him today, the rumors are true. Why? You think he's outstanding? Lian Can's gaze became unfriendly. If I remember correctly, he was brought into the Autumn Valley by Sister Mengxi? As soon as he said this, Lian Qiu's expression turned cold, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Mengxi was his exclusive property. He would not allow any man other than her father to get close to her. De Zhuang was the first. Now, there was a second. He would not let any of them go. Lian Can's words caused Pan Yilan's expression to change, and he hurriedly tried to salvage the situation. Although he can be considered outstanding, compared to you, senior brother Lian, he is still far from it. After Pan Yilan's flattery, Lian Qiu's expression softened a little. On the way back to the Autumn Valley, Zhou Donghuang said to De Zhuang, in the next few days, go to the trade center again. Record down everything that the people of the Summer Valley have placed a bounty on and pass it to me. The trade center of the Lightning Sword sect not only allowed for face-to-face transactions, but it also allowed people to place a bounty on rare items. Of course, the price of the bounty had to be at least double the original price of the item. Otherwise, there was no way to enter the bounty list in the trade center. Okay. Although he did not know what little junior brother needed this for, De Zhuang agreed readily. End of this chapter. Chapter 227. The Summer Valley disciple Pan Yilan had sold cheap 6-ringed bamboo as 9-ringed bamboo to De Zhuang, accusing him of slandering him. This had angered De Zhuang so much that he wanted to kill him. But Zhou Donghuang? Was he angry? Of course he was. If he could, he would have killed those 2 Summer Valley disciples. However, his rationality kept him awake. It was easy to kill them, but to escape unscathed was harder than reaching the heavens. The elders of the Lightning Peak are at least late primordial soul adepts. I just killed those 2, and I'm afraid I'll die at Han Ku's hands. Even if Han Ku doesn't kill me, he'll definitely capture me and hand me over to the sect. When that happens, I'll still be dead. Because he knew this, Zhou Donghuang was very calm when he was in the market. Of course, Zhou Donghuang was not one to lose out. You people of the Summer Valley want to play? Then I, Zhou Donghuang, will play with you. Counterfeiting? When I was counterfeiting, who knows where you were? Oh, that did not seem to be the case, or rather, when I was counterfeiting in my previous life, who knows where you were in this life? 2 days later, De Zhuang handed a piece of paper to Zhou Donghuang. There were more than 10 lines of crooked words on the paper. The words were big and small, and it was not wrong to say that they were scribbles. And this was De Zhuang's handwriting. De Zhuang, you haven't been learning to write for long, right? Zhou Donghuang asked. Yes. De Zhuang nodded and smiled. 2 years ago, after senior sister brought me back, I only started learning to write. My handwriting is not very good, little brother. As he spoke, De Zhuang scratched his head in embarrassment. Indeed. Zhou Donghuang understood, and his gaze returned to the paper in his hand. Although De Zhuang's handwriting was ugly, it could still be read clearly. Moreover, he had asked De Zhuang to copy it. If he could get it wrong, then he really had no choice but to make another trip to the market. He was prepared for the worst. And this was a habit that Zhou Donghuang had developed in his previous life, to be prepared for danger in times of peace. Little junior brother, if there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. Seeing that Zhou Donghuang was staring at the paper for a long time without saying anything, De Zhuang said, I will return the 11 superior grade spirit stones I owe you as soon as possible. Let's not talk about spirit stones for now. Zhou Donghuang looked away and said to De Zhuang, next, help me buy a few more things. Little junior brother, you still want me to help you buy things? Aren't you afraid that I'll buy a fake one again? De Zhuang glared at him. Don't worry. Zhou Donghuang smiled lightly. This time, the things I want you to buy are not anything good, and they are cheap. All in all, they are worth at most 10 mid-quality spirit stones. No one would waste time to fake those things. With that, Zhou Donghuang took out 20 mid-quality spirit stones and handed them to De Zhuang. It was not that he did not want to give more spirit stones to De Zhuang, but De Zhuang was too stubborn and did not want to accept spirit stones. The first time De Zhuang went to buy something for him, he wanted to give De Zhuang some money for running errands, but he was rejected. He insisted, and De Zhuang almost fell out with him. Zhou Donghuang could only give up. This kind of simple-minded fool was no different from a cow when he was stubborn. You can go now, Zhou Donghuang said as he handed the spirit stones to De Zhuang. All right. De Zhuang took the spirit stones and left. Seeing that Zhou Donghuang seemed to be in a hurry, De Zhuang left the Autumn Valley as soon as he left the room. At the same time, in various parts of the Autumn Valley, many people were talking about how De Zhuang had been deceived by a disciple of the valley. Who in the Autumn Valley does not know De Zhuang's character? He could not have lied. That disciple, Pan Yilin, has gone too far. It's a pity that even if we know that De Zhuang has been deceived, there is nothing we can do. The sect will not interfere in such matters. When junior sister Mengxi returns and finds out about this, she will not let the matter rest. There were not many disciples in the Autumn Valley. Although there were occasional conflicts between them, no matter who it was, if they were bullied by an inner disciple of another valley, the other disciples would not let the matter rest. However, this time, Pan Yilin had deceived De Zhuang, but it was not against the rules of the sect. Under such circumstances, although they felt that it was unfair for De Zhuang, there was nothing they could do. I curse those B***stards of the Summer Valley to always buy fake goods in the future, the kind where they lose all their hard-earned money. When Zhou Donghuang had first arrived at the Autumn Valley, Huang Long, the Autumn Valley disciple who had brought Zhou Donghuang to see He Mengxi, cursed in front of a few other Autumn Valley disciples. If Zhou Donghuang had been here and heard Huang Long's words, he would have given him a thumbs up. God's prophecy. The things that Zhou Donghuang had asked De Zhuang to buy were the things that he had prepared to fake. In his previous life, after he had left Earth, before he had become the disciple of the same master as He Mengxi, he had been in dire need of spirit stones. Not only did he lack spirit stones for training, but he also needed spirit stones to buy things. Under such circumstances, he had gone crazy trying to earn spirit stones. Just when he was in dire need of spirit stones and was preparing to go to the demon forest to hunt for spirit stones, he happened to see an ultimate Dharma adept fighting with a Dharma demon in the forest. The Dharma demon was killed, but the ultimate Dharma adept was also on the verge of death. Before he died, Zhou Donghuang had thought that he could be saved, so he had tried to help him, but he had not been able to save him. However, seeing that Zhou Donghuang had not only not taken the opportunity to kill him, but had also taken his space ring and saved him, the adept had told Zhou Donghuang where he had hidden his treasures before he died. He had even explained to Zhou Donghuang, the most valuable treasure that he had placed in the treasure trove was an ancient manual. In the manual, there were various methods of forging treasures. If one studied it to a high level, they could even deceive the heavens. At that time, even an adept at the celestial stage would not be able to easily see through it. With the forging methods recorded in the manual, just by looking at the surface and testing the waters, it was enough to pass off as the real thing. However, a fake was a fake, and it could not be used as the real thing. Even so, with the methods recorded in the ancient manual, Zhou Donghuang had still managed to swindle quite a number of spirit stones in his previous life. Of course, he did not easily cheat people. Those who were cheated by him were either evil people, heartless people, or merciless people. In short, he had never cheated a good person. Even though he did not think of himself as a good person, he still had a bottom line, and he felt that he had to abide by it. Although he did not think of himself as a good person, Zhou Donghuang had never thought of abandoning himself. Don't you Summer Valley disciples like to sell fake goods? You Summer Valley disciples dare to press third senior sister savior to the ground. Do you think I, Zhou Donghuang, do not exist? Since the Summer Valley wants to play, then I, Zhou Donghuang, will play with you. 10 days later. Zhou Donghuang did not say goodbye to Dezhuang. He left the Autumn Valley alone and went to the Lightning Sword Sect's trade center. On this trip to the trade center, Zhou Donghuang was very low-key. In a remote corner of the trade center, he set up a small stall with more than 10 items placed on it. Then, he sat behind the small stall and closed his eyes to rest while stealing some free time to cultivate. Brother, how much are you selling this for? After about a quarter of an hour, Zhou Donghuang heard an energetic voice. With Zhou Donghuang's hearing ability, he could even hear the suppressed excitement in this voice. The other party was intentionally suppressing his emotions. I've taken the bait. Suddenly, Zhou Donghuang opened his eyes and looked at the person standing in front of the stall. It was a middle-aged man. Looking at the snowflake symbol on his chest, it was obvious that he was an inner sect disciple, and a Winter Valley disciple at that. What do you want? Zhou Donghuang blinked lazily and asked casually. This. The middle-aged man pointed at a piece of jade on the stall. This piece of jade was covered with blood vessels, and when he looked at it, the blood vessels seemed to move at that moment. And this was the mark of frozen blood jade. This is frozen blood jade. It can be used to forge spirit weapons and also to refine core drugs. Zhou Donghuang said lazily, I won't charge you extra spirit stones. 20 superior grade spirit stones, a fixed price. The middle-aged man's eyes narrowed. This person in front of him actually recognized frozen blood jade? Since he recognized it, did he not know that a Summer Valley disciple had offered a reward of 50 superior grade spirit stones for this frozen blood jade a month ago? It's most likely that he hasn't looked at the bounty list recently, the middle-aged man thought to himself. The middle-aged man thought to himself. At the same time, his heart was burning. Looks like I'm going to be lucky today. All right. 20 superior grade spirit stones, I'll take it. The middle-aged man did not bargain and took out the spirit stones from his space ring and handed them to Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang took them and reminded him, inspect the goods. Once you take it away, we'll be done with each other. No need to inspect. The middle-aged man shook his head and smiled as he picked up the frozen blood jade. Only frozen blood jade has such characteristics. I've never heard of anyone being able to forge frozen blood jade. As he spoke, he kept the frozen blood jade and looked at the next item. Brother, how much for this? This time, a hint of surprise flashed in the depths of the middle-aged man's eyes, but it disappeared in a flash. Such a coincidence. Another item offered by a Summer Valley disciple? This is 1,000-year red wood, Zhou Donghuang said. I didn't intend to sell it at first. After all, it's rare to see such a complete and long piece of 1,000-year red wood, but I've been short of spirit stones recently, so I can only reluctantly part with it. Hearing the name of the item that Zhou Donghuang had pointed out, the middle-aged man sighed in his heart. It looked like there was no way he could buy this item cheaply. Brother, how much do you intend to sell it for? The middle-aged man asked. End of this chapter. Chapter 228. 30 Superior Quality Spirit Stones. Zhou Donghuang said. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, the middle-aged Winter Valley disciple completely gave up on the idea of buying the 1,000-year redwood cheaply. Brother, can you make it cheaper? The Winter Valley disciple smiled. Look, I just spent 20 superior quality spirit stones to buy the frozen blood jade from you. Not negotiable. Zhou Donghuang glanced at the Winter Valley disciple. All right. The Winter Valley disciple was a little helpless, but he still wanted to buy it. Brother, I don't have enough spirit stones, can you wait for me for a while? I'll go borrow some from someone. 1 hour. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Donghuang put away the 1,000-year red wood. I'll be back in 1 hour. The Winter Valley disciple replied and hurriedly flew in the direction of the Winter Valley. It was obvious that he was going back to the Winter Valley to borrow spirit stones. I just hope that in this 1 hour, he won't look at the bounty list. Otherwise, he will definitely sell the 1,000-year red wood to that Summer Valley disciple himself. That Summer Valley disciple is offering 80 superior quality spirit stones for the 1,000-year red wood. On the way back to the Winter Valley disciple prayed in his heart. However, he was doomed to be overthinking. Zhou Donghuang had long known what the Summer Valley disciple had offered on the bounty list. Otherwise, he would not have had the frozen blood jade and the 1,000-year red wood. These two items had been forged using cheap materials. Unless the frozen blood jade and the 1,000-year red wood were used up, it was usually impossible to tell whether they were real or fake. One had to know that the fake ancient book that Zhou Donghuang had obtained in his previous life was a treasure in the secular universe. Zhou Donghuang had even used the forging methods in the book to deceive many heavenly adepts. It's a pity that out of the 10 or so items that the Summer Valley disciple has offered as a reward, only 9 can be forged. The rest are either not easy to forge or cannot be forged with the Samadhi fire. I must use the Samadhi fire. Although Zhou Donghuang had formed 3 golden essences and was not far from forming 4, he was still a primal core adept. The true fire that he condensed with his true essence was still the true Samadhi fire. In order to condense the true fire of Samadhi, he had to at least let one of the golden elixirs in his dantian be born and condense the Dharma form. Otherwise, it would be useless even if he condensed 4 golden elixirs. Of course, if he wanted any of the golden cores in his body to form a Dharma form, he would first have to cultivate 4 golden cores. Only by forming 4 golden essences would one be able to break through to the Dharma stage. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to reach the Dharma stage. This was the characteristic of the Lord of the Four Supremes, an irreversible characteristic. I'll sell 2 of them first. Then, I'll try to sell the other 7 today. Zhou Donghuang thought. Zhou Donghuang had given the Winter Valley disciple an hour's time, and the disciple had returned 15 minutes earlier. At the same time, he handed the spirit stones to Zhou Donghuang. Junior brother, here are 30 high-quality spirit stones. Count them. That's right. After Zhou Donghuang put away the spirit stones, he took out the 1,000-year red wood and handed it to the Winter Valley disciple. Check it out. The Winter Valley disciple picked up the 1,000-year red wood and examined it carefully. Finally, he nodded and said, "No problem. Thank you, junior brother." With that, the Winter Valley disciple bade farewell to Zhou Donghuang and left. As he left, his face and eyes were filled with uncontrollable excitement. With these 2 items, he would be able to earn 80 high-quality spirit stones in a single transaction. Furthermore, it had taken him less than half a day. Just as the Winter Valley disciple was in a hurry to find the 2 people from the Summer Valley and earn 80 high-quality spirit stones, Zhou Donghuang took out another 2 items from his pocket. Not long after, another person took the bait. This time, 2 people took the bait. They looked at each other and did not say anything. With tacit understanding, they each bought one of the items. These 2 items were materials that the Summer Valley had placed a bounty on the bounty list. One of the items could earn 120 high-quality spirit stones. The other item could allow one to earn 50 upper-grade spirit stones. After the 2 bought the items, they walked some distance away. After confirming that Zhou Donghuang could not hear them, they whispered to each other. "That junior brother, I'm afraid you haven't looked at the bounty list in a long time, right? He actually took these 2 items out to sell. Furthermore, he's selling them at the market price." One of them shook his head and sighed, but his eyes shone with excitement. The other person took out 15 superior grade spirit stones and handed them to the first person. Although I didn't expose you, you didn't expose me either. I'll give you 15 superior grade spirit stones. This way, I'll earn 35 superior grade spirit stones and you'll earn 35 superior grade spirit stones. Thank you, senior brother Lon. The former took the spirit stones and thanked him profusely. Let's go. Let's go find the two people from the Summer Valley and sell these items to them. The latter called out to the former and took the lead, his face glowing. I never thought that there would be such a good opportunity to earn spirit stones. Furthermore, we can earn 35 high-quality spirit stones in a single transaction. Under normal circumstances, it would take us a full 3 years to collect 36 high-quality spirit stones from the sect. From the latter's words, it was obvious that the two were inner sect disciples. Senior brother Lon, will that junior brother find trouble with us? The former asked worriedly. Don't worry. The latter said nonchalantly, the trade center has its own rules. Money and goods are cleared. Furthermore, we have paid the full amount of spirit stones. We have no obligation to remind him that there are people on the bounty list who are offering a high price for those two items. Some time ago, Autumn Valley disciple De Zhuang bought fake 9-ringed bamboo that Summer Valley disciple Pan Yilin sold. De Zhuang was cheated of hundreds of medium-quality spirit stones, but nothing happened to him. The trade center has its own rules. We exchanged money with him, and no one can go back on their word. The former finally relaxed. Speaking of which, Autumn Valley disciple De Zhuang is really unlucky. 100 medium-quality spirit stones is equivalent to 10 high-quality spirit stones. The two of them thought that Zhou Donghuang would not be able to hear their conversation due to the distance. However, because of the Lord of the Four Supremes, Zhou Donghuang's eyesight and hearing abilities were enhanced every time he increased his level of practice. He was able to hear their conversation even though they were separated by a great distance. In response, he only shook his head and smiled. The two of them were just two chess pieces in his plan. Let's continue. For the rest of the day, Zhou Donghuang continued to sell the remaining forgeries. By evening, he had finally sold the 9th forgery. At this time, he could call it a day and return to the Autumn Valley. In the next 2 days, the Summer Valley will be bustling with activity. On the way back to the Autumn Valley, Zhou Donghuang smiled lightly, as if he had done something unimportant that day. To him, it was indeed unimportant. Although it had taken him 10 days to complete the 9 forgeries, that was because he had spent most of his time practicing and had only used the short break to forge the items that the people in the valley had offered. The most important thing now is to form the 4th golden essence, only then can I break through to the Dharma stage. Otherwise, I won't even be able to touch the threshold of the Dharma stage, let alone the Dharma stage. Zhou Donghuang, who practiced the Lord of the Four Supremes, would only be able to touch the threshold of the Dharma stage after forming the 4th golden essence. After Zhou Donghuang returned to the Autumn Valley, he prepared to return to his room in the courtyard to practice. When he returned, he found De Zhuang chatting with a few people in the courtyard next door. The conversation was about the few people comforting De Zhuang. Zhou Donghuang had some impression of these people. They were all disciples of the Autumn Valley. Little brother is back. When Zhou Donghuang returned to his room in the courtyard, De Zhuang also noticed him. Sensing De Zhuang's gaze, Zhou Donghuang nodded at him and landed in his courtyard. As for the others, he completely ignored them. Seeing this, the faces of the few people beside De Zhuang darkened slightly. This Zhou Donghuang really doesn't know how to be polite. Don't you know how to greet your brothers? The few Autumn Valley disciples beside De Zhuang were all young men full of vigor and vitality. Ever since Zhou Donghuang had come to the Autumn Valley, they had realized that when the young female disciples gathered together, they no longer talked about them. They only talked about the new Autumn Valley disciple, Zhou Donghuang. This made them feel that their limelight had been stolen by Zhou Donghuang, so in their hearts, they were more or less jealous of Zhou Donghuang. Brothers, don't speak ill of little brother, De Zhuang said with a frown. Little brother is a very good person, you can't say bad things about him. De Zhuang, we didn't say bad things about him. Because De Zhuang was close to the princess of the Autumn Valley, the few male disciples present were very polite to him. We were just saying that he doesn't know how to be polite. When he sees us, he doesn't even greet us as brothers. Exactly. He's nowhere near as polite as you, De Zhuang. We are here discussing how to stand up for De Zhuang, but what about him? A new disciple who just arrived, I don't know what he's doing outside. He came back so late, and once he came back, he rushed back to his room. It seems like he doesn't care at all if De Zhuang is being bullied by the Summer Valley disciples. Hearing the male disciples of the Autumn Valley talk about Zhou Donghuang without a care in the world, De Zhuang's face turned red with anger. He growled unhappily, brothers, little brother is not what you say he is. If you say bad things about him again, I'll cut all ties with you. De Zhuang was clearly infuriated by their words. The Autumn Valley male disciples had not expected De Zhuang to react so strongly. They looked at each other awkwardly, then left dejectedly. Of course, as they turned to leave, their eyes were filled with disdain and disgust. If not for the fact that they wanted to use De Zhuang as a springboard to curry favor with the princess of the Autumn Valley, they would not have bothered to make friends with De Zhuang. End of this chapter. Chapter 229. At the same time that Zhou Donghuang returned to the Autumn Valley, the Summer Valley. A middle-aged man with a medium build and a handsome face flew into the Summer Valley. He was in high spirits, and it was not difficult to see how happy he was. Brother Zhong, look at you. Is something good happening? A young man who was preparing to leave the Summer Valley asked the middle-aged man with a smile. Huh, the middle-aged man laughed. Indeed, something good has happened. The 1,000-year redwood that I have placed a bounty on for 2 months at the trade center has finally been sold. 1,000-year redwood? The young man was shocked. That is a priceless item. Even if the price was 2 or 3 times higher, people would still buy it. Brother Zhong, you are indeed lucky. Alright, let's not talk about this for now. I am in a hurry to hand this item over to my teacher so that he can help me forge an ultimate Dharma spirit weapon. As soon as the middle-aged man finished speaking, he flew into the depths of the Summer Valley. The Summer Valley was also a vast valley. However, it was different from the Autumn Valley, which was filled with the scent of autumn. Everything in the Summer Valley was filled with the scent of summer. This was how the Summer Valley got its name. It's fake. It's actually fake. Not long after the middle-aged man with the surname Zhong returned to the Summer Valley, a figure broke through the door of a courtyard halfway up the mountain, his face full of anger. That Bai Liqing of the Winter Valley actually dared to sell me fake frozen blood jade. Damn it. Damn it. I want to get even with him. I want to get even with him. This disciple of the Summer Valley, whose face was filled with rage, was a tall and sturdy middle-aged man. He had the back of a tiger and the waist of a bear, and he was extremely angry. Standing there, he was like an angry King Kong. He was a disciple of the Summer Valley, Fang Baiwei, a mid-Dharma adept. The people in the nearby courtyards heard the commotion and immediately left their courtyards. Brother Fang, what's wrong? They lived close to Fang Baiwei and interacted frequently with him, so the Summer Valley disciples in the nearby courtyards were on good terms with Fang Baiwei. After a while, when they heard what had happened from Fang Baiwei, they were also angry. That Bai Liqing of the Winter Valley, how dare he sell fake frozen blood jade to Brother Fang? Let's go. Let's get even with him. Yes. Let's get even with him. Fang Baiwei led a few disciples of the Summer Valley and left the Summer Valley aggressively, heading straight for the Winter Valley. After learning that Bai Liqing, a disciple of the Winter Valley, had not returned to the Winter Valley, they went to the market and found Bai Liqing there. Bai Liqing was the first person to receive the 2 items from Zhou Donghuang. They were the frozen blood jade and the 1,000-year red wood. Now, regardless of whether it was the frozen blood jade or the 1,000-year red wood, he had already sold them to the disciples of the Summer Valley and earned 80 high-quality spirit stones. With this large sum of upper-grade spirit stones, he strolled around the trading square a few times, preparing to buy some things that he was reluctant to buy in the past. Suddenly, Bai Liqing realized that the Summer Valley disciple, Fang Baiwei, who had bought the frozen blood jade, was rushing towards him with a few other people. Bai Liqing. Before Fang Baiwei even got close, he had already shouted, "Fang Baiwei, have never offended you, but you actually sold me fake frozen blood jade?" Fake frozen blood jade? Bai Liqing looked at Fang Baiwei, who was right in front of him, and frowned. Then, he said calmly, "Fang Baiwei, what nonsense are you talking about? The frozen blood jade I sold you was a transaction of money and goods. At that time, you even checked it carefully and confirmed that it was indeed frozen blood jade. Now, you brought the frozen blood jade back and only came to find me after half a day, and now you're telling me that it was fake? What? Are you playing with me?" As he spoke, Bai Liqing's gaze became unfriendly. "Bai Liqing, you're looking for trouble." Fang Baiwei's expression was cold as he said in a low voice. "I think you're the one looking for trouble." Bai Liqing looked at Fang Baiwei coldly. "You said that the frozen blood jade I bought you was fake. Do you have any proof? Take out the frozen blood jade and let everyone verify it to see if it's fake." Bai Liqing countered. Hearing Bai Liqing's words, Fang Baiwei's expression became even uglier. "Fang Baiwei, I think you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Don't you know that the frozen blood jade is only for verification? It's impossible to tell if it's fake. It will only turn to ashes when it comes into contact with the fourth true fire. No one would use the fourth true fire to test the authenticity of the frozen blood jade. This was because once the frozen blood jade came into contact with the fourth true fire, it would be affected. It would not be used for alchemy or weapon forging for a short period of time. It would become a worthless piece of ordinary jade. Turn to ashes?" Bai Liqing laughed. "Based on what you're saying, you can't even produce the frozen blood jade that you claim to be fake? What a joke." Some time ago, Pan Yilan, a disciple of the Summer Valley, was suspected of using 6-ringed bamboo to pass it off as 9-ringed bamboo to sell to De Zhuang, a disciple of the Autumn Valley. At least De Zhuang managed to produce a fake. Now, the people of the Summer Valley say that I'm selling fake goods, but I can't even produce a fake? At this point, Bai Liqing's smile disappeared. A cold light flashed in his eyes. "Fang Baiwei, if you have the guts, you can make a move on me. You want to extort me? It's not that easy." Bai Liqing shouted coldly. Fang Baiwei's expression changed. He wanted to make a move, but he was stopped by a few disciples of the Autumn Valley. The crowd of disciples of the Lightning Sword sect could not help but point fingers at him. Senior Bai Liqing is right. He can't even produce any evidence. What right does he have to say that Senior Bai Liqing is selling fake goods? He has no evidence at all. The people of the Summer Valley are too shameless. Today, Fang Baiwei has no evidence to slander Bai Liqing. Some time ago, De Zhuang from the Autumn Valley clearly produced evidence, but Pan Yilan, a disciple of the Summer Valley, used it against him. Han Ku even said that even if Pan Yilan was selling fake goods, De Zhuang could only blame himself for not knowing what was good for him. According to the rules of the sect, once the goods and the money have been settled, there will be no further dealings. According to the rules of the sect, Fang Baiwei has no evidence today. Even if he had evidence and the fake goods were sold by Bai Liqing, he could not do anything to Bai Liqing. According to the rules of the sect, he is the one who is blind and cannot blame anyone else. Hearing the comments of the crowd of disciples of the Lightning Sword sect, Fang Baiwei's face darkened. He looked at Bai Liqing as if he wanted to eat him alive. "Bai Liqing, I admit defeat this time. In the future, don't ever fall into my hands again, or I will never let you off. Fang Baiwei glared hatefully at Bai Liqing. Then, with a belly full of anger, he left with a few disciples of the Summer Valley. Any time. Bai Liqing said nonchalantly. At this point, everyone present felt that Fang Baiwei was trying to blackmail Bai Liqing. Otherwise, why could he not produce any evidence? If the Summer Valley disciple, Pan Yilin, really lied to the Autumn Valley disciple, De Zhuang, and what happened today, the disciples of the Summer Valley are really shameless. At this point, many of the disciples of the Lightning Sword sect present felt this way. After Fang Baiwei had caused such a ruckus, Bai Liqing was no longer in the mood to continue strolling around the trade center. He took the 80 high-quality spirit stones that he had earned that day and happily returned to the Winter Valley. The Winter Valley was also a valley, and it was a world of ice and snow. White snow covered the ground, and the waterfalls and lakes were all frozen. Brother Bai Liqing, looking at your glowing face, it seems like something good happened today. Bai Liqing had just returned to his courtyard when a skinny middle-aged man flew out from a nearby courtyard. He looked like an ordinary person, but his eyes were sharp. He smiled and said to Bai Liqing, "Huh. Brother Zhang, I'll treat you to a drink tomorrow. The 12-flower wine is more than enough." Bai Liqing laughed. This disciple of the Winter Valley was the closest person to him in the entire East Valley, and he saw him as a brother. 12-flower wine? The skinny middle-aged man's eyes lit up. Not bad, it's rare for you to be so generous. I remember that I've treated you to more than 10 drinks of the 12-flower wine, but you've only treated me twice, right? Furthermore, those 2 times, I was the one who asked you to drink, and you were unwilling. As he spoke, the skinny middle-aged man's tone became slightly sarcastic. Bai Liqing laughed awkwardly. That was because money was tight in the past. Brother Zhang, as long as you want, from tomorrow onwards, I'll treat you to half a month's worth of 12-flower wine. The 12-flower wine was a type of wine produced by the Spring Valley of the Lightning Sword sect. It was brewed from 12 different types of spirit flowers. Normally, a jar of 12-flower wine was sold for 1 high-quality spirit stone per jar, which was equivalent to the spirit stones that an inner sect disciple received from the sect every month. A normal inner sect disciple would not be able to afford such a wine. However, the 12-flower wine was very strong, and even Dharma adepts would not dare to drink an entire jar in a day. There was once a Dharma adept who drank an entire jar of 100-flower wine in a day and slept for 7 days and 7 nights before waking up. 2 Dharma adepts could only share 1 jar of 12-flower wine in a day. Half a month? The skinny middle-aged man's eyes lit up. Brother Bai Liqing, did you strike it rich? Yes, I made a small fortune. Bai Liqing laughed and casually took out 20 high-quality spirit stones and returned them to the skinny middle-aged man. Brother Zhang, these are the spirit stones I borrowed from you this morning. I'm returning them to you. Brother Bai Liqing, are you trying to tell me that you borrowed 20 high-quality spirit stones from me this morning to strike it rich? The skinny middle-aged man asked meaningfully after keeping the spirit stones. Before Bai Liqing could reply, he heard an angry roar. Bai Liqing, you bastard! How dare you sell fake 1,000-year redwood to me? Bai Liqing turned around and saw a middle-aged man with a medium build and a handsome face walking towards him. Zhong Yin? Zhong Yin, a Summer Valley disciple, was also the person who had bought the 1,000-year redwood from him today. Fake 1,000-year redwood? Bai Liqing's face darkened. These Summer Valley disciples were not done yet? What's going on? The skinny middle-aged man standing beside Bai Liqing was confused. Brother Zhang, these people from the Summer Valley are really shameless. First, it was Fang Baiwei who said that I sold him fake frozen blood jade. Now, this Zhong Yin is saying that I sold him fake 1,000-year redwood. Bai Liqing's face was full of anger. Do they really think that I am a pushover? End of this chapter. Chapter 230. Zhong Yin was a disciple of the Summer Valley and a late Dharma adept. He was also the disciple of an elder of the Summer Valley. An elder of the Summer Valley was also an inner elder of the Lightning Sword sect. In the Lightning Sword sect, to become an inner elder, one had to be at least a mid-primordial soul adept. This was also the minimum requirement to become an inner elder. As for entering the Lightning Peak and becoming an elder, the requirements were even more stringent. One had to be at least at the late primordial soul stage. As for becoming an outer elder, one only had to be at the early primordial soul stage. In other words, in the Lightning Sword sect, even the most ordinary outer sect elder had to be at least at the primordial soul stage of cultivation. Bai Liqing. Zhong Yin floated to a spot not far from Bai Liqing and stared at him fiercely. In a low voice, he asked, "I, Zhong Yin, have never offended you, have I? How dare you sell me fake 1,000-year red wood?" He had spent 80 high-quality spirit stones to buy a fake piece of 1,000-year red wood. When he first found out, Zhong Yin was furious. Originally, after coming to the Winter Valley for some time, his anger had subsided. But now, seeing Bai Liqing, his anger flared up again. It was like a prairie fire that could not be controlled. "Zhong Yin, are all the people of the Summer Valley sick?" Bai Liqing's face darkened as he said, "First, it was Fang Baiwei who said that the frozen blood jade I sold him was fake. Now, you come to me and say that the 1,000-year redwood I sold you was fake. Are you going to be like Fang Baiwei and say that you have no evidence and that the 1,000-year redwood was destroyed because it came into contact with real fire?" As he spoke, Bai Liqing was also a little exasperated. Of course, deep in Bai Liqing's eyes, there was a hint of fear. After all, Zhong Yin was different from Fang Baiwei. Not to mention the fact that Zhong Yin had an inner sect elder as his master, Zhong Yin's cultivation was also slightly stronger than his. "You even sold frozen blood jade to Brother Fang?" Zhong Yin frowned. "Furthermore, Brother Fang said that the frozen blood jade was fake? The moment the true fire touches it, it disintegrated into ashes?" "Humph." Bai Liqing snorted coldly and sneered. "The people of the Summer Valley are obviously colluding with one another to slander me. Now, you're still putting on an act?" Bai Liqing. Zhong Yin took a deep breath, looked at Bai Liqing, and said, "Be it the 1,000-year redwood that I want or the frozen blood jade that Junior Brother Fang wants, they are both items that we have been searching for on the Exchange Plaza's bounty board for some time. You don't usually sell them to us. Why are you selling 2 of them today? Be it 1,000-year redwood or frozen blood jade, they are not common items." As Zhong Yin spoke, he looked deeply at Bai Liqing. Right now, another Winter Valley disciple, Zhang Weiyuan, who was standing at the side, roughly understood what had happened through the conversation between the two of them. He immediately looked at Bai Liqing and asked, "Brother Bai Liqing, the fortune you mentioned today was because you sold the 1,000-year red wood and the frozen blood jade to Zhong Yin and Fang Baiwei of the Summer Valley?" This morning, Bai Liqing had suddenly looked for him, saying that he wanted to borrow 20 high-quality spirit stones and that he would return them on the same day. At that time, he had subconsciously thought that Bai Liqing would either borrow his spirit stones to gamble, or borrow his spirit stones to buy some items and resell them to make a profit. Bai Liqing rarely gambled, so he was more inclined to believe the latter. Now that the Summer Valley disciple, Zhong Yin, had come looking for him, he knew that he had guessed correctly. "Yes." Upon hearing Zhang Weiyuan's question, Bai Liqing immediately responded. "Your frozen blood jade and 1,000-year redwood were both bought from someone else?" Zhang Weiyuan asked again. "Yes." Bai Liqing replied again. Who would be so foolish as to not directly sell these 2 items to Zhong Yin and Fang Baiwei? Selling them to them would have earned more than selling them to someone else. Zhang Weiyuan frowned and said, "Furthermore, the 2 of them have been wanting these 2 items for a long time. In fact, the Exchange Plaza's bounty board is still searching for them. Brother Zhang, that junior brother, probably did not look at the bounty board, so he did not know that there were people in the Summer Valley who wanted these two items. Bai Liqing voiced out his opinion. But the problem now is, Zhong Yin and Fang Baiwei both said that these two items were fake. Zhang Weiyuan continued. Brother Zhang. Bai Liqing's expression became a little ugly. Even you don't believe what I said? I was not the only one who confirmed that these two items were real. Zhong Yin and Fang Baiwei also personally checked the goods and confirmed that there were no mistakes before giving me the spirit stones. Brother Bai Liqing, I naturally believe what you said. I just feel that these two incidents are too coincidental. Zhang Weiyuan shook his head as he looked at Zhong Yin. Zhong Yin, don't joke around. Are you sure that you and Fang Baiwei did not collude to take back the spirit stones that you gave to Brother Bai Liqing? As he spoke, Zhang Weiyuan's gaze was extremely unfriendly. Although they were both late Dharma adepts, he did not fear Zhong Yin at all. In fact, during the previous Four Valleys martial arts competition, he had even defeated Zhong Yin within 10 moves. Zhang Weiyuan, it was not me who said that the 1,000-year redwood was fake. Zhong Yin sighed and said, it was my teacher who said that the 1,000-year redwood was fake. I wanted the 1,000-year redwood because I wanted my teacher to help me forge an ultimate Dharma spirit weapon that was most suitable for me. However, the moment his 5 adoration fire touched the 1,000-year redwood, the 1,000-year redwood turned into ashes. When the 1,000-year redwood first came into my hands, even my teacher could not tell that there was anything wrong with it. As Zhong Yin said this, he looked at Bai Liqing with an unfriendly gaze. You saw the 1,000-year redwood turn into ashes with your own eyes? Bai Liqing asked with a cold smile. When my teacher forged weapons, he did not like people to disturb him. What do you mean by that? Could it be that you think that my teacher took the 1,000-year redwood for himself and lied to me? Zhong Yin asked in a low voice. Who knows? Bai Liqing laughed mockingly. Bai Liqing, there are some things that you should not say, lest you get into trouble. Zhong Yin looked at Bai Liqing coldly. If my teacher wanted the 1,000-year redwood, he only needed to say the word, and I would give it to him. There was no need for such an excuse. If you don't believe me, I can ask him to come to the Winter Valley and confront you. Zhong Yin's voice became even colder. Brother Bai Liqing, your words are a little too much. At this time, Zhang Weiyuan stood up and said, Elder Kuliang is a primordial soul adept. Why would he covet his own disciple's 1,000-year redwood? The 1,000-year redwood may be precious to us, but to Elder Kuliang, it is nothing. In fact, with his current level of practice, he basically has no use for 1,000-year redwood. Kuliang was Zhong Yin's teacher, an inner elder of the Lightning Sword sect, and also an elder of the Summer Valley. Brother Zhang, I was just joking. When Bai Liqing heard that Zhong Yin wanted to call his teacher over, he was already a little afraid. Now that Zhang Weiyuan had stepped up to give him a way out, he hurriedly responded with an awkward smile. Zhong Yin, did you hear that? Brother Bai Liqing, I was just joking with you. Zhang Weiyuan looked at Zhong Yin and said, also, no matter if it was you or Fang Baiwei, since the transaction between you and him has been settled, there is no point in continuing to pursue it. Don't tell me you don't know the rules of the sect. If we really blow things up, it will not be good for you. Even your teacher, Elder Kuliang, cannot ignore the rules of the sect. Zhang Weiyuan said. Of course I know that. Zhong Yin said in a low voice, since the transaction has been settled, even if I bought a fake, I will accept it. I came here this time to ask Bai Liqing for an explanation. I want to ask him why he sold me a fake. Of course, I also thought that, perhaps Bai Liqing himself did not recognize that the 1,000-year redwood he sold me was a fake. Just now, I heard him say that he bought the 1,000-year redwood from someone else today. It seems like my guess is not far off. At this point, Zhong Yin looked at Bai Liqing with a burning gaze. By leeching, I do not intend to ask for the 80 high-grade spirit stones back. But you have to tell me, who sold you the 1,000-year redwood? Zhong Yin asked in a low voice. After all, he had been indirectly cheated by the person who sold the 1,000-year redwood to buy leeching. If it was only the 1,000-year redwood that he bought, he might have thought that it was just a coincidence. Perhaps the person who sold the 1,000-year redwood to buy leeching did not know that the 1,000-year redwood was a fake. However, Bai Liqing had told him, the frozen blood jade that Fang Baiwei, who was also a disciple of the Summer Valley, had bought from Bai Liqing was also a fake. Furthermore, both the 1,000-year redwood and the frozen blood jade were made by the same person. He could not help but let his imagination run wild. Was that person trying to mess with him and Fang Baiwei? What did he have in common with Fang Baiwei? They were both disciples of the Summer Valley. Of course, even so, Zhong Yin was more inclined to think that all of this was just a coincidence. Otherwise, it would be really hard to imagine. What kind of person could take out the fake frozen blood jade and the 1,000-year redwood at the same time? Of course, whether it was a coincidence or not, he wanted to verify it further. Just as Zhong Yin was about to ask Bai Liqing who had sold him the 1,000-year redwood, a voice came from afar and stopped near Zhang Weiyuan and Bai Liqing. Senior brother Zhang, senior brother Bai Liqing, you're both here? What happened at the trade center? Do you know? The person who had come was a young disciple of the Winter Valley. What happened? Zhang Weiyuan asked subconsciously. On the bounty list at the trade center, there were more than 10 items that the elders and disciples of the Summer Valley had put up for. 9 of them were removed from the list today. The young disciple of the Winter Valley sighed and said, in just one day, 9 of the Summer Valley's disciples managed to buy the items that they had put up for a long time. The luck of the people of the Summer Valley is so good that it makes one envious. Almost as soon as this disciple of the Winter Valley finished speaking, Zhong Yin's expression changed completely. At the same time, he subconsciously looked at Bai Liqing. Don't look at me. Bai Liqing replied subconsciously. I only sold 2 items from the bounty list to you and Fang Baiwei. I did not sell the other items. Now, even Bai Liqing felt that this matter was not normal. End of this chapter. Chapter 231. This night, for the people of the Summer Valley, was destined to be a sensational night. This was because the 9 people of the Summer Valley had excitedly bought the items on the bounty list, only to discover that the items were all fake. Without exception, they were all fakes. Among the 9 people, if only 1 or 2 of them had bought fakes, it might have been a coincidence. But now, everyone had bought fakes. When I first heard about this from the trade center, I thought that the people of the Summer Valley were lucky to have bought all 9 items on the same day. I never thought that they would all be fakes. Why do I feel that this is a little strange? This is not normal, this is not normal at all. As the news of the 9 people who had placed a bounty on the bounty board in the trading plaza, buying fake goods spread, the entire Summer Valley was in an uproar. Of the 9 people who had bought fakes, 7 were Summer Valley disciples and 2 were Summer Valley elders. While the Summer Valley was in an uproar, the 9 people who had bought fakes also gathered together, 5 old men and 4 middle-aged men. 2 of the old men were Summer Valley elders, both mid-primordial soul adepts. As for the other 7, they were all Summer Valley disciples. Zhong Yin was among them. My 2 uncles, as well as my brothers and sisters, this matter, we can basically confirm that someone deliberately tricked the people of the Summer Valley. Zhong Yin said to the other 8 people with a gloomy expression. Cut the crap, one of the Summer Valley elders said with a dark expression. One of the Summer Valley elders said with a sullen face, as long as you are not stupid, you will be able to tell. That's right. Another Summer Valley elder said, the most important thing now is to find out who is tricking us. If we find him, I will skin him alive. 100 high-quality spirit stones is a small matter, but losing face is a big deal. I, Li Dahu, am an inner sect elder of the lightning sword sect and a mid-primordial soul adept. How could I be so blind as to buy fakes? If news of this spreads, where will my face go? As this Summer Valley elder spoke, his eyes seemed to be spitting fire. Elders, the fake goods that junior brother Fong and I bought came from Bai Liqing, a disciple of the Winter Valley. However, I have now confirmed that Bai Liqing also bought those 2 items from someone else. Faced with the 2 elders of the Summer Valley who were speaking in an unfriendly tone, a look of displeasure flashed across the depths of Zhong Yin's eyes. However, he still maintained a forced smile on his face. What we need to do now is to see if the fake goods in your hands were also made by that person. Just as Zhong Yin finished speaking, Fong Baiwei also chimed in, Senior brother Zhong is right. Tonight, we will investigate thoroughly and see if the weapons that the 9 of us bought were made by the same person. If so, he's dead for sure. This night was destined to be a sleepless night for Zhong Yin and the others. Although the items in the hands of the other 7 people had only been bought from 5 people, one of the 5 people was the only son of the Spring Valley head, and he was a famous spoiled brat in the Lightning Sword sect. Unless he took the initiative to go out, no one would dare to disturb his sleep and cultivation. Let's wait. Outside the courtyard where the son of the Spring Valley head lived, Zhong Yin and the others waited patiently. It was not until late the next day that they heard the sound of the door opening. Creak, after the door to the room in the courtyard was opened, a young man dressed in a brocade robe walked out, stretching and yawning. The young man looked to be in his early 20s. He had sharp eyebrows, bright eyes, a fine nose, and red lips. His handsome features carried a hint of gentleness. If he were to change into female clothes, people would probably think that he was a beauty. And he was the only son of the Spring Valley head, Lu Lang. Junior brother Lu, you've finally come out. Seeing Lu Lang come out, Fong Baiwei heaved a sigh of relief and greeted him. Lu Lang raised his head and saw the 9 people standing in the air outside the courtyard. People of the Summer Valley? What are they doing here? Lu Lang immediately saw that among the 9 people of the Summer Valley, one of them was the elder of the Summer Valley who had bought something from him the day before. It was also that item that had allowed him to easily earn 130 high-quality spirit stones. What did you call me? Lu Lang flew into the air and looked at Fong Baiwei, who had just called out to him. Junior brother Lu. Fong Baiwei's face was full of smiles. Although the person in front of him was only a primal core adept, he had a good father. The Spring Valley head was the head of the 4 valley heads and also the strongest of the 4 valleys. And the person in front of him was the only son of the Spring Valley head. Not just in the 4 valleys, but even in the entire Lightning Sword sect, not many people dared to offend him. Is Junior brother Lu something you can call me? Lu Lang glared at him and asked coldly, do you think that you are worthy of calling me junior brother? Fong Baiwei's expression changed, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Only now did he remember that this spoiled brat in front of him did not like to hear inner sect disciples call him junior brother. In his eyes, only the core disciples of the Lightning Peak had the right to call him junior brother. Furthermore, even among the core disciples of the Lightning Peak, not everyone could be called senior brother or senior sister. Young Master Lu, I'm sorry. Fong Baiwei apologized profusely. Humph. Lu Lang glanced disdainfully at the bowing Fong Baiwei, then looked at the other 8 people. You people of the Summer Valley have come looking for me early in the morning. If there's nothing important, don't disturb me when I'm out for a walk. Who knows, maybe my luck today will be as good as yesterday. Just by walking around, I'll see some idiot selling items on the bounty list. As Lu Lang spoke, he looked at the few people from the Summer Valley with an impatient gaze. Hearing Lu Lang's words, the 9 people of the Summer Valley looked at each other and saw the realization in each other's eyes. Young Master Lu. One of the elders of the Summer Valley went straight to the point and opened up a portrait in his hands. Yesterday, did you sell that item to me by this person? If Zhou Donghuang was here, he would definitely be able to recognize him in the portrait. However, the portrait was much worse than the one that Freezing Wind had drawn for his sister, Yun Lu. Hearing this, Lu Lang glanced at the portrait and could not help but laugh. It's quite similar, but there's no charm to it. That fool, on the surface, looks much more impressive than this young master. Why? You came looking for me early in the morning just to find out about this person? Don't tell me you're thinking of buying other items on the bounty list from him? Lu Lang subconsciously thought so. No. The expression of the Summer Valley elder, who was holding on to the portrait, darkened. Then, he thanked Lu Lang profusely. Thank you, young Master Lu. Now, we can confirm that the person who sold you the fake goods and then sold them back to us was this person. As the Summer Valley elder finished speaking, the other disciples of the Summer Valley shouted angrily, "This disciple of the Autumn Valley is unforgivable. Just to help that idiot De Zhuang of the Autumn Valley, he dared to do such a thing to the Summer Valley? Damn it! Let's go. Let's get even with him." The group of people of the Summer Valley shouted angrily and turned to leave the Spring Valley for the Autumn Valley. What's going on? The idiot in the portrait is an Autumn Valley disciple? And, let's be clear. What do you mean we sold you the fake item? The words of the group of people of the Summer Valley had completely piqued Lu Lang's curiosity. Lu Lang followed them and asked curiously. Since Lu Lang had asked, the people of the Summer Valley naturally did not dare to not tell him. When Lu Lang found out what had happened, he was completely stunned. The item he sold me yesterday was actually fake. Furthermore, he bought 8 other fake items for the others and then used us to sell them to these 9 people of the Summer Valley? And I thought he was an idiot who did not even look at the bounty list in the trade center. Now, it seems that not only is he not an idiot, he even used me. Interesting, interesting. After regaining his composure, Lu Lang's eyes lit up. He's just a new disciple of the Lightning Sword sect and the Autumn Valley. Just to help that idiot of the Autumn Valley, he actually dared to cheat the people of the Summer Valley? Impressive, impressive. His name is Zhou Donghuang. Very quickly, Lu Lang followed the 9 people of the Summer Valley to the Autumn Valley. After asking a disciple of the Autumn Valley where Zhou Donghuang lived, the people of the Summer Valley headed towards the mountainside where Zhou Donghuang lived. However, just as they neared Zhou Donghuang's courtyard, they saw an Autumn Valley disciple sitting cross-legged in mid-air. As they neared, the Autumn Valley disciple opened his eyes and looked at them from afar. "Are you here to look for Brother Zhou? Tell Zhou Donghuang to come out." Fang Baiwei said with a dark expression. "Brother Zhou asked me to tell you. If you are in a hurry to find him, you can go to the trade center." This Autumn Valley disciple was none other than Huang Long, who had brought Zhou Donghuang to Himengshi when he had first arrived at the Autumn Valley. Huang Long had also heard the news from the Summer Valley that morning. The 9 people of the Summer Valley had all bought fake items the day before. His first thought was that someone had purposely used fake items to cheat the 9 people of the Summer Valley. Thus, he had specially come to look for De Zhuang and asked him if he knew who had done it. De Zhuang, who had already found out the truth the night before, had also told Huang Long the truth. It's him? At that time, only Huang Long knew how shocked he had been. That new disciple, who had not even reached the Dharma stage, actually had such a trick up his sleeve. Brother Zhou is indeed a genius, to have guessed that they would come. Now, I will go and join in the fun as well. As the 9 people of the Summer Valley turned and left with dark expressions, heading towards the trade center, Huang Long followed them. "I remember you. I think your name is Huang Hu." Lu Lang slowed down and walked alongside Huang Long. As he followed behind the 9 people of the Summer Valley, he asked Huang Long. Even though he knew that Lu Lang was not someone to be trifled with, Huang Long's face still darkened. "Young Master Lu, I am not Huang Hu, I am Huang Long." End of this chapter. Chapter 232. The Lightning Sword Sect. In the Trade Center. Little brother, you sold fake goods to the people of the Summer Valley. They will definitely not let this matter rest. De Zhuang followed behind Zhou Donghuang and said worriedly, why don't we return to the Summer Valley? In the Summer Valley, with the valley head around, they would not dare to do anything rash. De Zhuang said. Would they dare to do anything rash in the trade center? Zhou Donghuang did not respond. He walked past the stalls in the trade center and finally came to the corner where the bounty list was. The person in charge of registering the bounty list was an outer elder. He recognized De Zhuang but did not recognize Zhou Donghuang. De Zhuang, is this also a disciple of the Autumn Valley? Previously, when De Zhuang had bought fake goods from Pan Yilin and returned to the trade center to settle the score with him, this outer elder had not been there. Thus, he had not seen Zhou Donghuang. Yes, Elder Lu. De Zhuang nodded. Little brother, you have just entered the Autumn Valley. Young man, do you have something on the bounty list to sell, or are you here to put up a bounty for what you want? Elder Lu asked Zhou Donghuang with a smile. Put up a bounty. Zhou Donghuang said. Following this, he listed the names of several herbs that he needed to refine the core drug that would help him enter the Dharma stage. These herbs were all rare and precious. If he were to put up a bounty on the bounty list, even the cheapest of these herbs would cost 30 high-quality spirit stones, which was more expensive than the 9-ringed bamboo that Zhou Donghuang had asked De Zhuang to buy. Of course, although De Zhuang had spent 11 high-quality spirit stones, he had only bought a piece of fake 9-ringed bamboo. However, after strolling around the trading plaza, he had already bought a new 9-ringed bamboo. He had only spent 10 upper-grade spirit stones on it. Young man, these herbs that you want are not expensive, but to put them up on the bounty list, you will need almost 200 high-quality spirit stones. Elder Lu looked deeply at Zhou Donghuang and reminded him. In his opinion, this young man in white had just entered the Autumn Valley of the Lightning Sword Sect and might not have that many spirit stones. Furthermore, to put up a bounty, you need to pay a 10% processing fee and a 10% deposit. The handling fee is collected by the sect. As for the security deposit, it's to prevent others from not having enough spirit stones if they have something that you want. If that really happens, the person who intends to sell you the item you are looking for will receive the deposit you left here. As he knew that Zhou Donghuang was a newcomer, Elder Lu very patiently explained the rules of the bounty list in the trade center. Yes. Zhou Donghuang nodded his head, indicating that he understood. He raised his hand and retrieved a few hundred mid-level spirit stones, a total of 380. 380 mid-grade spiritual stones were equivalent to 38 high-grade spiritual stones. The medicinal herbs that Zhou Donghuang had put up a bounty of 190 superior-level spirit stones. Of course, 1,900 intermediate-level spirit stones were also acceptable. This, seeing Zhou Donghuang casually take out so many mid-grade spirit stones, he began to take him seriously. The young man was dressed in robes as white as snow, and he was handsome and had an extraordinary aura. He did not look like someone from an ordinary background. Furthermore, he had just entered the Autumn Valley of the Lightning Sword Sect and was able to produce so many spirit stones, so it was unlikely that he was from an ordinary background. Although he was surprised, Elder Lu quickly regained his composure and took the spirit stones, counting them and putting them away. At the same time, he gave Zhou Donghuang a written receipt. From the receipt, Zhou Donghuang found out that the sixth elder's name was Lu Qing. Of course, in the process of writing the receipt, Elder Lu Qing also asked for Zhou Donghuang's name, and it stated that he had received 380 mid-level spirit stones from Zhou Donghuang, a disciple of the Autumn Valley. That's enough. As Zhou Donghuang put away the receipt, Lu Qing also added the medicinal herbs that Zhou Donghuang had put up on the bounty list. The ranking on the bounty list was based on price. The item at the top of the bounty list had a bounty of 30,000 superior-level spirit stones. Furthermore, as long as Zhou Donghuang wanted it, he could easily obtain it in the near future, and he would not need to spend a single spirit stone. 4th grade reversing elixir. The reversing elixir was divided into 9 grades. 1st grade reversing elixir was only useful for Qi gathering adepts, 2nd grade reversing elixir was only useful for Khanate adepts and those below the Khanate stage, and 3rd grade reversing elixir was only useful for primal core adepts and those below the primal core stage. The 9th grade reversing elixir was the highest grade of reversing elixir, and it was also a legendary item. The 9th grade reversing elixir could even be used by deities tribulation adepts. As long as one was still breathing, after consuming the 9th grade reversing elixir, one's injuries would be healed in a short period of time. Initially, I destroyed all of Chen Dandan's meridians, but it was precisely because the elder of the Xianin sect, Zhongya, obtained the reversing heaven grass and produced the 2nd grade reversing elixir that helped Chen Dandan recover her meridians. After that, after killing Zhongya, I found 6 grade 2 heaven reversing pills in his spatial ring. Those 6 grade 2 heaven reversing pills were all concocted using very crude alchemy techniques. It was a waste of the 5-leaf heaven reversing grass. In Zhou Donghuang's hands, the 5-leaf reversing heaven grass could even be used to produce a 5th grade reversing elixir. A 5th grade reversing elixir was an invaluable life-saving item, even for primordial soul adepts. 6 2nd grade reversing elixirs. When I enter the Dharma stage and refine them again, I'll be able to produce at least 2 4th grade reversing elixirs. Of course, although he was confident that he could produce a 4th grade reversing elixir, Zhou Donghuang was not interested in the 30,000 high-quality spirit stones on the bounty list. Even if he added up all the spirit stones that he had on him now, if converted to high-quality spirit stones, he would only be worth less than 50,000 high-quality spirit stones. However, to him, this amount of spirit stones was enough for the time being. The spirit stones that Zhou Donghuang had on him had basically all been obtained before he had come to the Lightning Sword sect. Through the memories of his past life, he had gone to a few planets in a few galaxies and obtained them first. Of course, most of the spirit stones that Zhou Donghuang had obtained were mid-quality spirit stones, and he did not have many high-quality spirit stones. This was because the few planets that he had been to could not be compared to the Tai Lao planet, where the Lightning Sword sect was located. The spirit stone mines there also had difficulty producing high-quality spirit stones. He's over there. Just as De Zhuang was about to greet the outer sect elder, Lu Qing, and was about to leave with Zhou Donghuang, an angry roar came from high up in the sky. Although this angry roar did not contain inner yuan, it was loud enough to drown out all the other noises in the trade center. At this moment, the entire trade center became much quieter. Some people even subconsciously raised their heads to look at the source of the roar. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, a group of 9 people floated in the air above the trade center. As their gazes converged on one spot, they all descended in unison. Behind the 9 people, 2 people followed unhurriedly. They were Lu Lang and Huang Long, who had come to watch the commotion. "Little brother, it's the people of the Summer Valley." De Zhuang's expression changed. Just as Zhou Donghuang raised his eyelids lazily, the 9 people of the Summer Valley had already descended from the air and surrounded Zhou Donghuang and De Zhuang. "Brother Zhou." At this time, Huang Long, who had followed closely behind, also landed beside Zhou Donghuang. Among these 9 people of the Summer Valley, 2 of them are elders of the Summer Valley. At this point, Huang Long could not help but swallow his saliva. He had never imagined that this brother Zhou would dare to trick even the elders of the Summer Valley. Furthermore, he had even tricked 2 elders of the Summer Valley. These were inner elders of the Lightning Sword sect, mid-primordial soul adepts. Elderly? Elder you? Because Zhou Donghuang and De Zhuang had not progressed far from the bounty list, the outer sect elder in charge of registering the bounty list, Lu Qing, was able to recognize 2 of the 9 people from the Summer Valley as soon as they landed. They were elders of the Summer Valley and were also inner sect elders of the Lightning Sword sect. In the Lightning Sword sect, the two of them were above him in terms of status and ability. At the same time, many elders and disciples of the Lightning Sword sect who had gathered to watch the commotion also came over to watch. They recognized the two elders of the Summer Valley immediately. "What's going on? What's going on?" Many of the onlookers did not know what was going on. "Zhou Donghuang, how dare you trick the 9 of us with fake goods?" However, as Fang by way of the 9 people of the Summer Valley spoke, the onlookers immediately understood what was going on. This was because, early in the morning, they had all heard that the items that the 9 people of the Summer Valley had bought on the bounty list yesterday were all fake goods. Furthermore, when they were inspecting the goods, none of the 9 people had discovered that they were fake goods. Today, many people had guessed, someone must have deliberately tricked the people of the Summer Valley. Now, the 9 people of the Summer Valley who had been tricked had all appeared and surrounded De Zhuang and another new disciple of the Autumn Valley. It was not difficult for them to guess what was going on. Was it De Zhuang and the young man in white who tricked the people of the Summer Valley? It can't be De Zhuang. De Zhuang can't possibly have that kind of ability. It's most likely this new disciple of the Autumn Valley. I think his name is Zhou Donghuang. The onlookers' attention was quickly focused on Zhou Donghuang, making him the center of attention. "Zhou Donghuang, don't think that nothing will happen just because you don't speak." The Summer Valley disciple, Fang Baiwei, saw that Zhou Donghuang was ignoring him and flew into a rage. He glared at Zhou Donghuang and said through gritted teeth, "Do you believe that I will kill you?" "Oh." Zhou Donghuang looked at Fang Baiwei lazily. "Kill me? Do you dare?" In the Lightning Sword sect, disciples of the same sect were not allowed to injure or kill each other unless they had signed a life and death contract. Anyone who violated this rule would be punished. Furthermore, if one attacked a fellow disciple without reason, even if they did not injure or kill him, they would still be punished. The Lightning Sword sect might not be considered much in the entire universe. However, on the Tai Lao planet of the Hengliu galaxy, it was one of the top sections. The rules within the sect were very strict, and it was not something that a small sect could compare to. End of this chapter. Chapter 233. Just now, Fang Baiwei had only wanted to scare Zhou Donghuang, but he had not expected Zhou Donghuang to not care about his threat at all. Instead, he had taunted him verbally. Fang Baiwei was so angry that his face turned red. His inner yuan surged out of his body and formed a Dharma power. However, even though his Dharma power was formed, Fang Baiwei still did not have the courage to attack. The Lightning Sword sect's punishment for attacking a fellow disciple was too severe. Furthermore, if he attacked, he would be bullying the weak, and the punishment would be even more severe. After all, he was already in his 40s, and the young man in white before him was only in his early 20s. He was a mid-Dharma adept, and the young man had not even reached the Dharma stage. Zhou Donghuang. As Fang Baiwei was defeated by Zhou Donghuang, Zhong Yin glared at Zhou Donghuang and asked in a low voice, "Did you do this just to help De Zhuang vent his anger?" The other elders and disciples of the Summer Valley also glared at Zhou Donghuang unkindly. "You can think of it that way." Zhou Donghuang glanced at Zhong Yin. "There's something else that you might not know. Back then, when De Zhuang bought fake 9-ringed bamboo from the people of the Summer Valley, I asked him to buy it for me. What I lost was my spirit stones." As he spoke, Zhou Donghuang's lips curled into a faint smile, as if he was not affected by the loss of spirit stones at all. In reality, he did not care about the loss of spirit stones at all. Even if he did care, he had already earned it back from the people of the Summer Valley yesterday. Just because of such a small matter, you are willing to offend so many people of the Summer Valley? Zhong Yin asked in a low voice. Offend? Zhou Donghuang looked at Zhong Yin in surprise. Why do you say that? You sold so many fake goods and sold them to the 9 of us. Isn't that offending us? Zhong Yin's voice became even more sullen. That counts as offending? Zhou Donghuang was a little speechless. At the same time, he subconsciously looked into the distance. There, someone was flying over with the outer sect elder Lu Qing, who was in charge of registering the bounty list. This person was none other than the elder of the Lightning Sword Peak, Han Ku. Although I've only joined the Lightning Sword sect not too long ago, don't even think of bullying me because I don't know the rules of the sect. In this trade center, even if I buy fake goods, I can only blame myself for not having good taste. It's good to be taught a lesson within the sect, lest you embarrass yourself outside. Let's take a step back. Even if those things are fake and I personally sold them to you, as long as you buy them, you can only blame your bad luck. Moreover, I wasn't the one who sold those things to you. You bought it from someone else, but you came to me. Aren't you putting the cart before the horse? Zhou Donghuang said lightly. What a glib-tongued kid. One of the two elders of the Summer Valley glared at Zhou Donghuang fiercely and said, "Kid, you should know the reason for this matter better than anyone else. Do you really think that, within the rules of the sect, you can wantonly toy with the people of the Summer Valley? Are you planning to stay in the sect for the rest of your life?" As he spoke, the Summer Valley elder's face broke into a grin. There was no lack of threat in his words. Oh? Zhou Donghuang glanced at the Summer Valley elder. What you mean is, when I leave the sect, the people of the Summer Valley will take revenge on me? You can think of it that way. The Summer Valley elder laughed coldly. In the next moment, as Zhou Donghuang raised his head to look at the sky behind him, the expression on the Summer Valley elder's face changed drastically. Elder Han, did you hear all that? I did not break the rules of the sect, but the people of the Summer Valley are threatening me, saying that when I leave the sect, they will take revenge on me. These were Zhou Donghuang's exact words to the Lightning Peak elder, Han Ku, who was present. Elderly, at this moment, Han Ku's expression was cold as he looked at the Summer Valley elder and said in a low voice, "Are you going to the law enforcement hall to receive your punishment yourself, or should I report this to the law enforcement hall and have them send someone to bring you over?" Elder Han. The Summer Valley elder, Li Dahu, looked at Han Ku with a bitter expression. I was just joking. You can say these words to the people in the law enforcement hall. Han Ku glanced coldly at Li Dahu and said, "You should know the difference between you going to the law enforcement hall to receive your punishment yourself and me reporting this matter to the law enforcement hall and having them send someone to bring you over to receive your punishment." Li Dahu's expression changed once again, and he immediately turned back to look at Zhou Donghuang with a cold, murderous look. Only then did he reluctantly leave the trade center and head towards the law enforcement hall. In an instant, the scene fell into a dead silence. A Summer Valley elder, a dignified inner sect elder, had been sent to the law enforcement hall by an Autumn Valley disciple with just a few words. Once he entered the law enforcement hall, even if he did not die, he would at least lose a layer of skin. "What are all of you gathered here for?" Han Ku asked as he glanced at the 8 people of the Summer Valley surrounding Zhou Donghuang. Elder Han. Another Summer Valley elder looked at Han Ku with a bitter expression. This time, we did not intend to do anything to Zhou Donghuang. After all, what he did was indeed within the rules of the sect. However, when the sect set the rule that fake goods could be sold in the trade center, they did not consider that there were people who could forge all kinds of precious materials and pass them off as genuine. Just yesterday, the 9 of us spent close to 2,000 high-quality spirit stones to buy the fake goods that Zhou Donghuang sold. As the Summer Valley elder spoke, his tone revealed a hint of helplessness. Of course, close to 2,000 high-quality spirit stones had all fallen into the hands of the Lightning Sword sect disciples who had bought the fake goods from Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang had only received a few hundred high-quality spirit stones. Of course, Zhou Donghuang did not care about this small amount of spirit stones. If it were just for spirit stones, he would not have wasted time to forge the goods that the Summer Valley had put up as a reward. Today, We are only here to demand an explanation from Zhou Donghuang. Because Han Ku was present, and because the other Summer Valley elder had already been invited to the law enforcement hall by Han Ku, the remaining Summer Valley elder appeared to be very upright. Of course, even if he does not give us an explanation, we will not do anything to him. After all, his actions did not violate the rules of the sect. We also thought that he might not give us an explanation. But, we're still here. We are not doing this for ourselves, but for everyone in the Lightning Sword sect. After all, anyone can be deceived by the fake goods that Zhou Donghuang sells. Under normal circumstances, inner sect disciples can only receive one high-quality spirit stone from the sect every month. Even core disciples can only receive 10 high-quality spirit stones a month. If they are deceived by Zhou Donghuang's fake goods, they may lose a few months, or even a few years, of spirit stones that the sect distributes to them. This elder of the Summer Valley spoke with a strong sense of righteousness and agitation. His words were very effective, and the crowd of disciples of the Lightning Sword sect who were watching all agreed with him. At that moment, many of the Lightning Sword sect disciples looked at Zhou Donghuang with unfriendly gazes. You people of the Summer Valley can rest assured about this. Zhou Donghuang smiled calmly. His voice was not loud, but it was clearly heard by everyone present. As long as people outside of the Summer Valley do not sell fake goods to people of the Autumn Valley, I can guarantee to all my fellow disciples outside of the Summer Valley that you will not buy fake goods from me. Of course, if people outside of the Summer Valley accidentally sell fake goods to people of the Autumn Valley, as long as they are sincere after the matter and resolve the problem amicably, I will not pursue the matter. Zhou Donghuang's words were tit for tat, and it was obvious that he was completely at odds with the Summer Valley. Zhou Donghuang's words caused the surrounding crowd to look at him strangely, and the faces of the people of the Summer Valley all changed. Even Han Ku, the Lightning Peak elder who was in charge of maintaining order in the trade center, looked at Zhou Donghuang with a look of helplessness and admiration. One person, against the entire Summer Valley. Regardless of the outcome. Based on the current situation, this young fellow's courage was astonishing. Zhou Donghuang, if that's the case, you mean to make the Summer Valley your enemy? Zhong Yin asked coldly, his face dark. I have no intention of making the Summer Valley my enemy, Zhou Donghuang said calmly. By doing this, I am merely giving you a taste of your own medicine. At the end of the day, it was your Summer Valley disciple who first sold me fake goods. Let's not talk about whether that matter is true or not. Even if it is true, after this incident, you will not be at a disadvantage. The Summer Valley elder said, how about we stop everything here? Stop everything here? Zhou Donghuang laughed. If you want to stop here, that's fine, but you must make the Summer Valley disciple who sold me fake goods, and the Summer Valley disciple who used his Dharma power to press De Zhuang to the ground, kneel before me and De Zhuang and kowtow in apology. If the Summer Valley can do this, I promise that I will not target the Summer Valley in the future. As soon as Zhou Donghuang said this, the entire place fell silent. I remember, the Summer Valley disciple who sold the fake goods was Pan Yilan. And the Summer Valley disciple who used his Dharma power to press De Zhuang to the ground was Lian Kan, the personal disciple of the Summer Valley head. Even the Summer Valley might not be willing to make Pan Yilan kneel and kowtow in apology. After all, that would damage the Summer Valley's reputation, let alone make Lian Kan kowtow and apologize. The conditions that Zhou Donghuang proposed are too harsh. No one thought that the Summer Valley would compromise. That's impossible. Just as everyone thought, the Summer Valley elder regained his composure and rejected without a second thought. Then there's nothing to talk about. Zhou Donghuang shrugged and said nonchalantly, if that's the case, you people of the Summer Valley have to be careful when you buy things in the future, lest you buy fake goods again. Actually, by doing this, I am also testing your ability to identify fake goods, lest you people of the Summer Valley walk out of the sect and be cheated by others. Not only will you be cheated of your spirit stones, but you will also lose face for the sect. I feel that I am very noble. For the sake of the Summer Valley, I have really put in a lot of effort. End of this chapter. Chapter 234. A person like me who repays evil with kindness is rare in this world, right? Zhou Donghuang said with a smile. Ever since he had been reborn 1,000 years ago, Zhou Donghuang had always felt like he did not fit in with this world. In the eyes of others, he seemed cold and aloof. Only in front of his mother and sister, Yunlu, did he seem more real. It was not that he did not want to fit in with this world, but that he could not. He had tried, but he had failed. Although he had to start from scratch after his rebirth, he still could not change the fact that he stood at the peak of the universe. All the mountains seemed small. He had seen and experienced what he should have seen. In this life, it was only a matter of time before he returned to the peak. Until this time, when he came to the Lightning Sword sect and met one of the most important people in his past life, his third senior sister, Himengshi. Only then did he have a sense of belonging and identity to this world that he had been reborn into. Because of this, his mentality had changed so much that he was now able to joke around with the people of the Summer Valley. Fortunately, the people of Ziyun who knew Zhou Donghuang well were not here. Otherwise, if they had seen this scene, they would have been shocked speechless. This was because they had never seen this side of Zhou Donghuang. However, among the people of the Lightning Sword sect, apart from Dezhuang, who looked a little dazed, no one had expected that this usually unsmiling little junior brother would have such a side to him. The others did not feel anything, but they felt that Zhou Donghuang was shameless. He was the one who had deliberately sold fake goods to scam the people of the Summer Valley, but now he was saying that he was doing it for the good of the people of the Summer Valley. The 8 people of the Summer Valley were now staring at Zhou Donghuang as if they wanted to eat him alive. Otherwise, they would have been worried that they would say something harsh and follow in the footsteps of the Summer Valley elder who had gone to the law enforcement hall. They would have long cursed and even threatened him. Elder Han, you saw it too, this Zhou Donghuang is obviously trying to make life difficult for the Summer Valley. The remaining elder of the Summer Valley said angrily to Han Ku. Han Ku was also a little speechless. Wasn't what this kid from the Autumn Valley said just now what he had said after Dezhuang had bought the fake goods that the people of the Summer Valley had sold? Donghuang brat, let people off when possible. Han Ku looked at Zhou Donghuang and smiled bitterly. Elder Han. Zhou Donghuang looked at Han Ku, his face full of surprise. What I said just now was a repeat of what you said that day. Furthermore, didn't you say that being able to sell fake goods is also a kind of ability? Yesterday, I took out a total of 9 fake goods and sold them all. Furthermore, the people from the Summer Valley also bought all of them. Are you trying to tell me that what you said to me that day was fake? Zhou Donghuang asked mockingly. Han Ku was dumbfounded and speechless. Humph. The Summer Valley elder snorted coldly. His gaze swept across Zhou Donghuang like a knife, and he called out to the rest of the Summer Valley, let's go. Zhou Donghuang's attitude was clear. He wanted to fight to the death with the Summer Valley. If he continued to stay, he would only lose face, so he might as well leave. Elder Yu, are we just going to let it go like this? On the way back to the Summer Valley, Fang Baiwei's face was filled with indignation. If we don't let it go like this, what else can you do? Why don't you kill him and use your life in exchange for his life to protect the Summer Valley? The Summer Valley elder turned back to look at Fang Baiwei and asked. Immediately, Fang Baiwei shut his mouth. He was not that great. After we return this time, we will go and see the Valley Head together. As long as the Valley Head is willing to intervene in this matter, whether it is to look for the sect leader or the Autumn Valley Head, that Zhou Donghuang will definitely not dare to act recklessly again. The Summer Valley elder continued. Hearing his words, the eyes of the group of Summer Valley disciples lit up. Back at the Summer Valley elder brought Fang Baiwei, Zhong, and the other 7 disciples directly to the Summer Valley head, Lian Kun. Lian Kun was a short, muscular, and dark-skinned middle-aged man. He was at most 1.5 meters tall, and when he stood beside his personal disciple Lian Can and gave him pointers, his body was suspended in the air, and he maintained eye contact with Lian Can, who was 1.8 meters tall. Now, Lian Kun was teaching Lian Can how to use his Dharma power to exert his strength more effectively, so that he could display a stronger battle power. As an ultimate primordial soul adept, Lian Kun had even created a few tricks to exert his strength, which was enough to further display the power of his inner Yuan Valley head. It was only when the 8 people of the Summer Valley came to visit that Lian Can stopped what he was doing and stood behind Lian Kun, who was suspended in the air a foot above the ground. Even so, Lian Kun's shoulders were only level with Lian Can's. "What's the matter?" Lian Kun, the Summer Valley head, could not help but frown at the sight of so many people coming to visit him at once. Valley head. The Summer Valley elder stood up and explained everything that had happened, as well as what the Autumn Valley disciple Zhou Donghuang had just said. That Autumn Valley disciple actually wanted me to kneel and kowtow to him, and that to Zhuang as an apology. Lian Can, who was standing behind Lian Kun, suddenly had a cold look in his eyes, and his face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost in that instant. The fake goods that you bought were all made by him alone? Unlike Lian Can's one-sided view, Lian Kun, the Summer Valley head, saw more. If that's the case, his methods are indeed not simple. Master. Lian Can said disdainfully, that Zhou Donghuang is just a small golden essence adept. So what if he has some unorthodox methods? He won't be able to do anything. You look down on his methods? Lian Kun asked. Lian Can silently agreed. Then how do you propose we resolve this matter? Lian Kun asked again. Hearing Lian Kun's words, Lian Can did not know how to respond. This was because the Summer Valley elder before him had also said that everything that the other party had done was within the rules of the sect, and that he could not use force. If he could not use force, what else could he do? Humph. Lian Kun snorted coldly and did not give Lian Can any face as he scolded him. That's why I said, don't underestimate anyone, and don't underestimate Zhou Donghuang's methods. If you also had those methods, you could totally go to the Autumn Valley and force Zhou Donghuang to give up on the idea of continuing to harm the Summer Valley. After hearing the Summer Valley elder's words, Lian Kun was also a little angry. Now that Lian Can was in trouble, he immediately vented his anger on Lian Can. As for Lian Can, he could only nod his head like a little chick pecking at rice. Master is right, master is right. However, in Lian Can's heart, he hated Zhou Donghuang even more. Valley head, if you do not intervene in this matter and continue, I'm afraid that it will cause panic in the Summer Valley. The Summer Valley elder smiled bitterly. If I intervene now, won't I become a joke? An Autumn Valley disciple who has not even reached the Dharma stage actually wants me, the Summer Valley head, to personally intervene in a game with the Summer Valley? Lian Kun laughed coldly as he spoke. Instantly, the Summer Valley elder fell silent. Master, in my opinion, that Zhou Donghuang must have said that on purpose. Yesterday, he cheated Elder Yu and a few other seniors, which could be considered as helping De Zhuang take revenge. Lian Can said in a timely manner, even if you gave him 10 times the courage, I think he would not dare to continue to offend the Summer Valley. Lian Can's words made the Summer Valley elder and the others feel that there was some truth to it. As for Lian Kun, he had no intention of intervening at all. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. And in this month, when the people of the Summer Valley traded in the trade center, although they were careful, they did not buy any fake goods. The clamor of the Autumn Valley disciple Zhou Donghuang was like a stone that had sunk into the ocean. Looks like that Zhou Donghuang was just saying it casually. I thought he really dared to challenge the whole valley. I overestimated him. Thinking about it, it's normal. He has already taken his revenge, and in comparison, he has gained a greater advantage. Naturally, there is no need to continue to antagonize the valley. A month ago, the people of the Lightning Sword sect who had personally heard Zhou Donghuang say that he would continue to cheat the Summer Valley with fake goods shook their heads. They felt that what Zhou Donghuang had said back then was just a casual remark. In this month, the people of the Summer Valley also gradually began to let down their guard. Even so, they still did not buy any fake goods. However, they did not know that, in this month, the reason why the Summer Valley was peaceful was entirely because Zhou Donghuang had shut himself in to train after returning to the Autumn Valley. The last silver essence has finally transformed into a golden essence. After a month, the remaining silver essence in Zhou Donghuang's Dantian had successfully transformed into a golden essence. Since then, Zhou Donghuang had trained all 4 primal essences in his Dantian to the golden essence. Next, I can break through to the Dharma stage. I wonder if anyone will sell me the herbs that I have offered for a reward while I'm in seclusion. At this thought, Zhou Donghuang walked out of his room and went to find De Zhuang. This time, before he had shut himself in to train, he had left enough spirit stones for De Zhuang. If anyone wanted to sell him the herbs that he had offered for a reward, De Zhuang could trade for him. Little brother, the last herb that you wanted, I bought it 10 days ago. De Zhuang handed the herbs to Zhou Donghuang and smiled sheepishly. Very good. Zhou Donghuang had just returned to his room to produce the core medicine when an excited voice came from outside. Zhou Donghuang, you rascal, you've finally come out of seclusion. A month ago, you said that you would let me participate, but in the end, you went straight into seclusion to train. Recently, the people in the sect have been saying that you've become a coward and don't dare to use fake goods to trick the people of the Summer Valley anymore. Hurry up and make a few fake goods, and I'll find someone to sell them. Now, the person standing outside Zhou Donghuang's door was none other than the Spring Valley disciple, Lu Lang. Lu Lang was also the only son of the Spring Valley head, and he was famous for being a spoiled brat in the Lightning Sword sect. A month ago, Lu Lang had shamelessly pestered Zhou Donghuang, asking him to hand over the fake goods to him so that he could find someone to sell them to the people of the Summer Valley. End of this chapter. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.